Umaksyon na nga si President Bongbong Marcos at handa na nga umano itong ilabas ang mga ebidensyang hawak laban kay VP Sara Duterte na magdidiin dito sa naging hinala ng ilang mambabatas patungkol sa pagnanakaw nito ng confidential funds. Kung mapatunayan nga daw ang mga bintang kay Sara Duterte ay handa umano si President Bongbong Marcos na ay pakulong si Vice President. Narito panoorin ang ilang ebidensyang isinimot di umano ni President Bongbong Marcos.
I wish to express my frustration along with the other members of this committee for not being able to ask questions to our resource speakers from the office of the OVP. I just hope that they realize that the committee is providing them an ample due process, an avenue for them to be able to refute, to belie the findings that we have established already. But they prefer not attending the hearing rather than giving their due explanation to all the issues which have been raised already. Mr. Chair, after the last hearing of the Committee on Blue Ribbon, the Vice President held a press conference, although apparently she did not address squarely the findings that we have established already. Among others is the huge cost of rentals for the safe houses, most especially the 16 million confidential fund that was used in 11 days for the safe houses. Second, the confirmation of Attorney Osayas with regards to the receipt of DepEd envelope payola, which has been testified to already in the previous hearings by Yusek Mercado. And third is the denial of the AFP of having received any fund from the DepEd with respect to the Youth Leadership Summits and the information and education campaign which were conducted. Nonetheless, Mr. Chair, there's one remark of the Vice President which indeed captured the attention of this representation. And if I can ask the Secretariat to please play this video clip of the press con. Since we're having some technical problem, let me share with you what she said during that press con. She said that the DepEd Confidential Fund ay ginamit para magbigay ng impormasyon sa militar at sa local government units kung saan dapat gawin ang Youth Leadership Summits at ang Information Education Campaign. First of all, Mr. Chair, I find it really strange. A civilian office like the Department of Education is the one which will be providing a confidential information to the military and the LGU with respect to national security. Hindi po ba baligtad ito, Mr. Chair? Because it is indeed the mandate of the AFP to promote and secure the national security and interest of our country. Pero dito po sa naging pronouncement ng ating Vice Presidente, she said, ang confidential fund ng Department of Education ay ginamit para magbigay ng impormasyon sa militar at sa LGU kung saan dapat gawin ang Youth Leadership Summits at ang Information Education Campaign. Mr. Chair, I wish to invite the attention of the committee to the certifications that were issued by the AFP and were submitted by the DepEd to COA in support of the utilization of the DepEd Confidential Fund, and the same provides YLS and IECs are conducted to prevent recruitment of teachers and students by terrorists and insurgents. May we request Attorney Camora to please confirm kung ito nga po ba ay nakasaad sa certifications ng AFP.
Attorney Camora.
Mr. Chair.
The certifications submitted by AFP to DepEd and which were subsequently submitted by DepEd to COA in support of the utilization of the DepEd Confidential Fund provides, among others, that YLS and IECs are intended to prevent recruitment of teachers and students by insurgents and rebels.
That is what is contained in the certification, Mr.
So you
Chair.
confirm.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And having said so, Mr. Chair, we must understand that there are 4 existing programs of DepEd. And I wish to know also from COA, sang program po ba pumasok ito? Because we have to understand that each program has their corresponding expenditure of the confidential fund. Can we please flash each program along with the corresponding expenditures? The program includes counterinsurgency, abuse prevention and control, anti-illegal activities, and anti-extremist or terrorism activities. Ang bawat programa pong ito ay may kanya-kanyang expenditures ng confidential fund. And if we can show this table, Secretariat, please. The table shows that for counterinsurgency program, first quarter, DepEd spent 2 million, and second quarter, DepEd spent 2,050,000. The second program is abuse prevention and control within schools, and expenditures for first quarter, 2.130 million. Second quarter is 2.370 million. Anti-illegal activities, first quarter, 1.5 million, and second quarter, 1.7 million. And for anti-extremism, first quarter, 1.8 million, and second quarter, 1.8 million. I understand, Mr. Chair, that the YLS and the Education Information Campaign has to fall in any of these programs. And considering the purpose that was indicated in the certification submitted to COA, I wish to believe na ito pong mga YLS na to at IECs na to ay part ng counterinsurgency program. Tama po ba ito, Attorney Camora?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
And having said that, Attorney Camora, ang total expenditures po for the counterinsurgency program is only 4,050,000 pesos, when the amount utilized is 15,540,000 pesos. Mayroon pong nawawala 10,490,000 pesos. Saan po kaya napunta itong diferensya ng nasabing amount?
Mr. Chair, we considered the entirety since ang sabi naman po, focus on protecting the schools and the youth from physical harm, criminalities, terrorism, and drug abuse. So, hindi na lang po siya sa counterinsurgency.
Mr. Chair, is it the intention of Attorney Camora to consider that the entire amount utilized, that is 15,040,000, were spent in all these 4 programs of DepEd? Is that what you are trying to say, Attorney Camora?
The fund was used for the payment of rewards po in relation to these 4 programs.
Yes,
So,
but there are
opo.
4 programs of the DepEd under which the utilization must fall. Kaya ang tanong ko po sa inyo kanina, when the certification provides that YLS and IECs are conducted to prevent recruitment of teachers and students by extremists and terrorists, ito po ba ay tamang nasa ilalim ng counterinsurgency program?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Because if so, since most of the expenses, or I should say all, of the 15,540,000 was utilized for this YLS and IECs, ang napapaloob pong expenditures for counterinsurgency program is only 4,050,000. Hinahanap ko po, Attorney Camora, saan po napunta yung 10,490,000?
Ayun nga po. Actually, binase din po namin sa certification na they've made mention that it is to protect the schools and the students from physical harm, criminalities, terrorism, which is one of the, and drug abuse po. So,
Then why did they not indicate those purposes in the certifications?
it's on the certification po. I'm reading from the certification po.
The certification provide for prevention of recruitment by the terrorists and rebels. Am I correct, Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ano pa po bang ibang purpose ang nakasaad sa certification? Mayroon pa po bang ibang purpose?
Nakalagay po kasi, also because of this exchange of information, we were able to perform our civil-military combat and intelligence operations in our AOR with focus on protecting the schools, their students, and the youth from physical harm, criminalities, terrorism, and drug abuse.
So from your point of view, Attorney Tamora, saang program po ba napapaloob itong YLS at IECs?
Sa anti-insurgency.
If you are saying that this falls under the anti-insurgency program, ano naman pong activities kaya ang kinonduct ng DepEd in line with their abuse prevention, anti-illegal activities, and anti-extremism?
Based din po dito sa YLS, yun pong other purposes nung YLS.
In other words, Attorney Tamora, you will agree with me that all the certifications pertain to YLS and IECs only.
Pero meron pong other purpose po kasi silang nilagay sa certification.
Then please enlighten us what activity falls under abuse prevention. What activity falls under anti-illegal activities?
I think the YLS activities also included, yun nga po, lectures on drug abuse, criminalities.
Are you not particular about defining, identifying sang programa po ba ito napapaloob? How are you able to account the expenditures if you are not even aware kung saan programa kasama yung mga activities ng DepEd?
I think that was not part of the yung naging part nung review nito. Dahil nung nagpa-submit po kami ng sa rewards,
I will raise the same question for the last time, attorney. You were saying that the YLS and the IEC fall under counterinsurgency program.
Yes, Mr.
And that is
Chair.
only 4,050,000,
Yes, Mr.
way
Chair.
below the 15,040,000 confidential fund that was utilized by DepEd. What therefore are the activities that fall under abuse prevention first?
Mr. Chair, ito lang po yung naging basis namin, Mr. Chair.
I understand that this 15 million is not even a subject matter of an AOM or an ND. Tama po ba ako?
It was a subject matter of AOM po.
And then what happened with the AOM?
And then this is their answer, yung certification po.
And you simply adopted this.
Yes po.
And you agree with me that it is not clear with COA kung anong activity ang pumasok in every or each of the 4 programs.
Hindi na po namin kinategorize, Mr. Chair.
I wish to invite the attention of the committee to the total amount spent for all these programs. Nasa ilalim po. First quarter is 7.5 and then second quarter is 8.31. How can you give us a clear presentation on how this 15 million was utilized if you could not identify under which program every activity falls? Ano po bang ibig sabihin ng pagtango nyo, attorney?
Yun po, hindi po na-consider nung evaluate po na i-categorize siya according to the programs of the DepEd.
But can you confirm to us, yun po bang certifications na sinasabi nyo, which is stated that YLS and IECs are intended to prevent recruitment? Pare-parehas po ba yan? O may iba pa pong purpose na nabanggit?
Ayun po, yung isang certification may ganun pong nakalagay na other purpose.
How many certifications are we talking about, attorney?
Dalawa lang.
For the entire 15,040,000 pesos confidential fund of DepEd.
Mr. Chair, dalawa lang po.
Dalawang certification lang po. And I think it will be very easy with you at least to categorize, Attorney Kamora. San po bang program na pasama yan? Dadalawa naman pala. Can you please read the purpose of the first certification?
These combined activities benefited 1,300 participants for the YLS and 8,754 students for the IEC. These collaborative efforts with the DepEd, Region 1 NICA, Regional Office 1, and OPAPRU were conducted to insulate the students from exploitation by the communist terrorist groups and inform them of the ills of terrorism and communism.
Would you
And
agree with
first-
me that that is counterinsurgency program?
Yes, Mr.
How
Chair.
much is the amount indicated?
There is no amount indicated in this particular
There is no amount
certification.
indicated. How about the other certification? Can you please read to us?
Only the first purpose po. Kasi, Mr. Chair, there is a second purpose in this one.
What
which
is the second purpose?
Yung verse po na binasa ko na about criminalities, terrorism, and drug abuse. And then,
Is there any third and fourth purposes?
no, Mr. Chair.
Wala na. First
Opo.
and second.
Yes, Mr.
So in
Chair.
other words, the certifications provide, first is the counterinsurgency, and second, it encompasses the 3 other remaining programs.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
However, I wish to manifest, Mr. Chair, that the COA should be able to identify under which program each expenditures fall, because if I will be basing our interpretation to the certification which states as primary purpose that the YLS and IECs are conducted to prevent recruitment, then it means that the program which is being implemented by DepEd is the counterinsurgency program. And considering that the amount which was spent for this program is only 4,050,000, I wish to be enlightened, magkano kaya yung nagastos for the abuse prevention, magkano kaya ang nagastos para sa anti-illegal activities, at magkano kaya ang nagastos para sa anti-extremism. It is my humble submission, Mr. Chair, that the COA should be able to identify this, to be able to give a clear presentation and account of the public funds which were utilized by the Office of the Department of Education. Mr. Chair, moving to my second observation, the DepEd Confidential Fund, according to the Vice President, was used to obtain information where military and LGU should hold the YLS and IEC. Again, I find this strange, na baligtad na po, because the office which has the mandate on addressing the national security and interest is the AFP, the Office of the National Defense. So I wish to believe that matters concerning national security ay mas marami pong information ang DND compared to the Department of Education. But strangely, ang nakasaad po dito, ang confidential fund ng DepEd ay ginagamit para makakuha ng impormasyon at masabihan ang military kasama na ang LGU saan kayo magko-conduct ng Youth Leadership Summits at Information Education Campaign. Nonetheless, Mr. Chair, I wish to believe na dapat mayroon pong correlation ang source ng information at ang site or recipient ng YLS and IEC. Can we request the Secretariat to please flash the graph, the pie? Mr. Chair, the payment of rewards indicated in our graph shows, or should I say, is not consistent with the location of the recipient where the YLS and the IEC were conducted. Ang sabi po dito sa ating graph, nagkaroon ng payment of rewards sa Zamboanga del Norte, sa Zamboanga del Sur, sa Zamboanga Sibugay, sa Basilan, even in Sulu, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Zambales, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate. However, Mr. Chair, the total of the payment of rewards is only 4,282,000. Again, if we compare this to the total amount of confidential fund, which is 15,540,000 pesos. Ang question, saan naman po kaya nadala itong nawawalang 11,258,000 pesos? Can we ask Attorney Camora, mayroon po ba kayong nakita sa inyong pag-audit? Saan ho ba nagkaroon ng YLS and IEC na hindi consistent sa location ng payment of reward?
Mr. Chair, yung location ng YLS and IEC is based on the certification po. These are the areas covered po nung activities. On the other hand, sa DEP po, yung payment of rewards Pwede po kasing yung informant is nasa ibang lugar or address po kasi niya yon or address niya kung saan man siya.
That
kung
is
saan
a
man
possibility, but
Opo.
I am certain that you were not able to inquire about that information anymore.
We don't inquire po beyond the
I understand, but are you really
receipts.
allowed to assume? Kasi what you are telling us is just an assumption. Pwede po na ang source of information ay nakatira sa Batangas. At magbibigay po siya ng impormasyon tungkol po sa Zamboanga del Norte. How do you think a person residing in Batangas will be familiar on what is going on in Zamboanga del Norte?
That is a personal ano lang po. But actually po, table audit lang po talaga ang audit ng confidential funds. So, it's talaga po kung ano yung sinubmit na documents.
In other words, Attorney Camora, you do not pay attention anymore even when the source of information are residing in places far from the site of the Youth Leadership Summits and the Information and Education Campaign.
Hindi na po namin pinagtugma
But were you able to see and observe these inconsistencies during your auditing? Nakita niyo po ba yon? I believe so. That is why you stated earlier na pwede naman pong nakatira sa ibang lugar and he will be giving information about another place.
Yes, Mr. Chair. But
You observe it during the auditing, but you did not conduct any further inquiry as to the correlation between the source of the information and the recipient or the location of the recipient of the YLS and the IECs. Do you agree?
yes, Mr. Chair.
Hindi nyo na po pinansin. Mr. Chair, to conclude, dito po sa dalawang slides na ating ipinakita, if we will be anchoring our analysis on the programs of DepEd, it will appear that only 4,250,000 was spent for the counterinsurgency program, Mr. Chair. And therefore, there remains an unaccounted amount equivalent to 10,490,000 out of the total confidential fund, which is 15,540,000. Meanwhile, Mr. Chair, if we will be anchoring our analysis on the location of the source of information and the location of the recipients of the Youth Leadership Summits and the Information and Education Campaign, what is consistent with respect to their location is equivalent only to the amount of 4,282,000 pesos. So, there remains also an unexplained amount of 10,490,000 pesos. Nasaan naman po kaya itong amount na ito? Mr. Chair, in conclusion, I wish to believe that the confidential fund of the Department of Education was not properly recorded at its best, or misspent, or misappropriated at its worst. It is the humble submission of this representation that there is a prima facie case of malversation, and in addition, an apparent case of breach of public trust. For us to be able to know whether there is malversation, 4 elements must be present. Number 1, there must be a public official. 2, he is the custodian of fund. 3, the fund must be for public purpose. And 4th, the public official took, appropriated, misappropriated or consented or through abandonment or negligence permitted another person to take them. For the information of the public, ang malversation po can be done intentionally. We call it dolo, which is with criminal intent. And it can be done as well by negligence. We call it culpa or by negligence. In other words, with or without criminal intent. If the four elements are present, which I believe they are present, there's a prima facie case of malversation. With respect to the breach of public trust, this is the violation of public's confidence in a public officer's ability to serve with integrity, impartiality, and in accordance with law. Public trust is mandated by no less than the fundamental law of the land. That is the Philippine Constitution. We wish to express our utmost trust and confidence to the 19th Congress of the Philippines in addressing the apparent infractions of our rules on malversation and breach of public trust. And to the Filipino people, Mr. Chair, rest assured that this committee will legislate the necessary laws to safeguard not only confidential fund, but all public funds. As likewise, we commit to recommend the filing of the necessary actions against people found liable for committing these infractions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Luistro. The chair will now move to another or to the next interpellator, Congressman Paduano.
Thank you, Chairman. May I proceed? Chairman, since the Bureau of Treasury is not present in today's hearing, may I move to invite the representative from the Bureau of Treasury, especially those representatives present during the previous hearing for consistencies, Mr. Chairman. So move.
ComSec, please take note of
Noted,
the
Your Honor.
manifestation of Congressman Paduano.
Mr. Chairman, why we should invite BTR? Because issues about policies with regards to GMC, to regards to the Memorandum Circular 97-02 from COA, and MC 02 of 2019 by the BTR should be, we need to check the consistencies of such GMC and those memorandum circular, Mr. Chairman, with regards to special cash advances. Now, COA, please lang po, please prepare the next hearing yung question of the requirements for special cash advancement for the SDOs, dun po sa mga accountable officers, especially in question of their capacity to refund just in case amount being given to them as authorized by their principal. In this case, it is the Vice President. Kasi po, kailangan natin po yun, no? Sorry? Please use the microphone.
Your Honor po, may I be recognized?
Yes, Ms. Hemora.
Your
you're
Honor,
recognized.
is it for the next hearing? May we be clarified,
For the
please?
next hearing, kaya nga pinapaunahan ko na po kayo the questions that I might raise, no? Basta MC 7-002, BTR 02 of 2019 for the Bureau of Treasury, and yung GMC, no? How you check na lang po how consistent, because in the GMC may problema po doon. Kasi the requirements are being laid and the provision with regards to the MC of COA 97-02, napakalinaw po, nandun yung SALN. But in the GMC, wala po. Then I will also discuss and ask about the salary grade of all those SDOs that was given an authority from the Vice President. Kasi ang appointing officer is the Vice President. Kasi po, if you look at the salary grade, but of course, salary grade is not only the basis, no? Mr. Chairman, in fact, of course, salary grade is not only the basis. That is why one of the requirements should be the SALN. Because in the case of Mr. Edward Farda, his salary grade is only 17 with a salary of 41,508. Pero yung encashment niya in one check is 37 million. So we have to check on it. Kasi po, based on the record, napakarami pong mga officers in the office of the Vice President na mataas pong posisyon, ba't hindi sila binigyan? For example, in the case of Argonza Belinda, ang posisyon niya po ay Supervising Administrative Officer. 75,000 yung ano niya, salary niya. In the case of Cesar Abalon, Chief Education Program Specialist, doon po sa DepEd, ang salary grade niya is 101,000. Why a 41,000 with a salary grade 8 sa 17 was given the authority to encash checks worth 37 million. And it happens not only once, it happens several times. So that will be the question that will be raised by this representation in the next hearing, especially on matters of policy. No, because sabi ko na nga, if the office of the Vice President to the legal department is questioning about jurisdiction of this committee to investigate such government funds and expenditures, we have the jurisdiction because we are now questioning the implementation and some policies of COA, of the BTR, in this particular case. Now, so please, Comsec, paki-ano lang po, paki-inform yung BTR, that will be the question that will be raised in the next hearing po.
Noted, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, to the land bank, of course, a while ago, you mentioned about that you received the invitation in a short notice. That was just yesterday at 4 p.m. But let me remind you, I will not ask the details, but I will ask you now about the policies. And let me remind you, and for the record, we will not ask about specific bank details. And you cannot invoke the bank secrecy law. When in fact, that's why in this hearing again, question of jurisdiction, this committee has the jurisdiction because for the past several years, no, hindi lang to OBP, hindi lang to DepEd, all other agencies in government, and that includes LGU, may problema tayo because during the investigation in other committee, especially in my committee in the public accounts, question of the bank secrecy law is being invoked by the land bank. At this time, you cannot invoke because we have now the checks. We have now the checks that was encashed in your branch. Now, the first, eto, bibigay ko sa inyo, for Gina Acosta. This check was addressed to Gina Acosta in Shaw Boulevard branch. Shaw Boulevard. Sino ba yung ang manager nyo? Shaw Boulevard. Nandito ba siya? Wala. Comsec, Mr. Chairman, I move to invite the branch manager of Shaw Boulevard Land Bank in the next hearing.
Comsec, please
Noted,
take
Your
note of
Honor.
the manifestation of Congressman Paduano.
And with regards to DepEd, nandito rin po yung mga cheque. The total is 112.5 million for 37.5 every check, million every check. Now this is from a land bank dito po sa Dex, sa Ultra Compound. Do you have a branch? So, Mr. Chairman, once again, I move that we invite the branch manager of this land bank branch for the
Comsec.
DepEd.
Comsec, please take note of the manifestation of Congressman Paduano.
Now, let me proceed na lang, Mr. Chair. Matter of policy with regards to land bank. What is the maximum reserve fund of those mentioned branches?
ABP, Camposano, would you like to respond?
Different branches have different CI cash in vault levels, sir.
Ang tanong ko nga magkano, yung sa branch na yon, yung sa Ultra, at saka doon sa Sio Boulevard.
I'm not aware of the Shaw Boulevard branch, but with the DepEd branch, it's 10 million.
10 million. Okay, but the check that was in cash, or, that's why I want the manager of that such branch. Kasi alam ko, hindi niya man masasagot. Pero I want her to be present in the next hearing because if the maximum reserve fund of that branch is only 10 million, the check that was it's either in cash or deposited to other banks or other bank accounts was 37.5 million. And it happens not only once, it happens several times. Tatlong cheque po dito ang hawak namin. Kompleto po, pati yung mga check number nandito. So, I hope, Land Bank, you bring your branch manager the next hearing. And please prepare also for the reserve fund of the Shell Boulevard branch.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me proceed, Mr. Chairman. So, what will, specifically, what will be, if in the case of the Ultra Compound branch, maximum is only 10 million. What will happen if the encashment is more than 10 million? And in this case, it's 37.5 million.
We usually ask our client to call us in advance, 2 days or 1 day before the encashment, for us to prepare the amount.
Okay, so 1 day or 2 days notice for the client.
Yes.
Okay. Now next. Di ba pag yung client, yung check is under the client's name, he should be or she should be physically present
Yes, sir.
during encashment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, yun. We will also check that. If Edward Farda, in the case of DepEd, and Jen Acosta is physically and personally present during the encashment. Okay? Now, next question. With the amount of 125 million and 37.5 million, this is just a matter of policy. And I do believe that he cannot bring it wherever he wants, if that was an encashment. So, what will happen?
Sir, I cannot understand what.
Okay, eto lang po. Do you allow delivery of such amount or big cash amount from if the client requests for it
No,
to
sir.
be delivered?
No, sir.
No. Are you sure of that, attorney? Are you sure that it is not allowed?
It depends, sir. If we have a memorandum of agreement with the
Ano lang po,
with the-
pakilapit-lapitan lang po.
It depends if we have an agreement with the client, if with a memorandum of agreement for delivery of payroll of whatever.
Correct. If you have a memorandum of agreement,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, ganito po. Please submit to this committee because I do not believe that Jen Acosta and Mr. Farda encash that amount, then brought with them to their office or to any place. Diba? So please bring and submit to this committee that MOA, particularly the branch that was mentioned. Is the branch allowed to have a MOA with the client with such amount? For example, in this case, 37.5 million in one encashment. And the other is much bigger, 4 times. That's 125 million. Do you allow land bank branches to initiate a MOA with your client with such amount of fund?
It depends on the agreement, sir, with the branch and with the client.
Sandali po. Matter of policy po, tinatanong ko. Do the central office of land bank allows?
Yes.
Kahit anong halaga?
Yeah. If there is a MOA, if there is a memorandum of agreement, sir.
Hindi nga, yun nga ang tanong ko eh. Okay, sabihin na natin, may memorandum of agreement. Wala po bang ceiling na amount that you allow the branch? Okay, ganito lang po. If you cannot answer that, please prepare for it on the next hearing. Kasi yun pong mga tanong kasi, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make it clear why I am asking this question because the banking laws should also be amended, especially the bank secrecy law. Because supposedly, government funds should be exempted. And in the bank secrecy law, there should be a special provision for it. And well, in fact, supposedly, especially government banks, with regards to MOA, dapat po may ceiling. Kasi, alam naman po natin, okay lang yan pag government fund, what if personal fund? Eh, kung may money laundering, well, in fact, until now, it's still 500,000, di ba? Ma'am?
Yes.
500,000 pa rin, di ba?
Above 500,000, sir.
Above 500,000? 500 lang. 500 lang 1,000 yung...
No, it's above 500,000.
If above 500,000,
Di ba? Above 500,000.
what is the policy?
Sir. In the AMLA, sir.
Sorry? Pakilapit lang po yung...
Any transactions above 500,000 shall be reported to the AMLA.
Ayun na nga eh. Yun na nga yung sinasabi ko eh. But in this case, kung 500,000 yung maximum, eh, pero yung withdrawal, especially ito, government funds, 37.5 million, 125 million. Kaya nga, Mr. Chairman, again, I would like to reiterate na kailangan talaga ma-revisit yung banking laws and particularly yung bank secrecy law. Kasi in my 11 years in Congress, with regards to investigation, especially which land bank or government banking institution is involved, lagi po nakatali yung kamay ng Kongreso because of this bank secrecy law. But again, you cannot anymore invoke that bank secrecy law because COA has already submitted all the checks. But I will not ask about the details in the next hearing with regards to how much is the actual bank, yung laman ng bank account ng DepEd o the Office of the Vice President. But I will ask you, how did these transactions happen? Kasi po, unang-una, ang tanong po, ano ba to? Si Edward Farda, encashment bang ginawa niya o yung cheque, transfer niya sa ibang bangko?
Encashment, sir.
Sigurado ka, encashment?
Yes, sir.
Paano mo nalaman?
I was the former branch manager of the DepEd branch, sir.
Okay. So ito, alam mo.
Yes, sir.
Alam mo. So pwede na kitang tanungin ngayon o... pwede na o next hearing na?
Next hearing, sir.
Okay, mabait ako ngayon. Okay, next hearing ha. Pagandaan mo, ikaw pala, hindi mo... Dapat sana, kaya pala alam mo yung specific na location ng branch na yun kasi ikaw pala yung ano dito, branch manager noon.
Yes, sir.
Kaya alam mo.
Yes,
So, you're familiar about all these checks
Yes, sir.
and how these checks was encashed.
Yes, sir.
And how was it delivered? The cash.
It It was not delivered.
Oh, alam mo, yung delivery from the bank. Ikaw yung branch manager, hindi mo alam how it was delivered.
The, the, the cash from our cash center, sir, or the cash for the ano
No,
for
for example, we're talking about the first check, 37.5 million. Ang bangko nyo bang nag-deliver? O
Over the counter.
binitbit ni Farda?
I think the question, ma'am, is how it was encashed. So kung paano po ba to over the counter?
Yes, sir.
So isang bagsak, magkano pong amount yan, Congressman?
37.5 million.
So yung 37 po ba, in over the counter yung pag-encash?
Yes, sir.
On the same day, 37 was released, 37 million
Yes.
pesos was released.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sigurado ka ba, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so all for 3 ba or 4 checks? 3 checks. Ganon ang ginawa yung 37.5 million?
I will have to check first.
Oh, tama
I
si
cannot
attorney.
recall how many checks
Oh,
was
you
encashed.
should recall. Kasi pupunta tayo dito hanggang doon sa kung kailangan namin ipasubuin na yung CCTV nyo. Papasubuin na namin.
Ang tanong po ni Congressman Paduano, on 3 occasions, 3 cheque po kasi yan, 37.5 million. Ito po ba 37.5 million in cash over the counter on the same date? I mean, 3 separate dates.
Ma'am, ganito lang po. With this huge amount, para safe ka, baka mamaya magkamali ka, then gagawa ka ng kwento para to defend your position, at the same time yung opisina mo, better recall mo muna. Basta sabihin mo lang yung totoo, ma'am.
Yes,
Kung ano talaga nangyari.
Yes, sir.
Kasi, pag lumabas na nagsisinungaling ka, you will violate our Section 11. Alam mo na yon. Alam mo yon, yung
Yes.
consequence.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, siguro, better prepare na lang po for the next hearing, no? Yung mga possible questions. Be sure na kung transfer, it was transferred to other bank accounts. Kung pinangkas at hinatid. Diba? Or, pinaingkas, binitbit ni Edward. Tama?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, for the meantime, Mr. Chairman, yun lang muna. I think I have already called the attention of the BTR and
Kumuha sa akin.
sandali. Eto, boss. Eto. Mr. Chairman, last na lang pala po, baka makalimutan ko lang. So, okay na ako doon sa COA, next hearing na lang, at saka sa Land Bank, no? Pakidala na lang po. Kung hindi mo ma-recall talaga, pakidala ng teller mo. The time. Because this amount, 37.5 million, pag sinabi mo hindi alam, mabuti sinabi mo, alam mo. Kasi I will not believe in you na hindi mo alam because ganito kalaki, dapat alam ng branch manager, di ba? Okay, anyway. Ganito na lang po. Chairman, maiksi na lang po ito.
Yes, please continue.
I'd like to take this opportunity because Miss Catalan is present.
Yes, Your Honor, she's present. Rauna Catalan from DepEd.
Please.
Please take your seat.
Miss Catalan, for the information of everyone and the chair on this honorable committee, siya po yung isa sa mga pumirma as the head of the accounting department unit.
Comsec, nakapag-out na po ba si Miss Catalan? Ma'am? Miss Catalan, nakapag-out na po ba kayo? Last hearing, nakapag-out na? Okay. Yes, please continue, Congressman Paduano.
Ma'am, are you still with the DepEd?
Yes, Your Honor.
And please tell us about your present position in DepEd.
I've been the chief accountant since 2010
Until now.
until now.
Until now. So, you're aware of this liquidation report that was submitted by COA to this committee. And your name was affixed in this liquidation report. And you have a signature on this liquidation report.
Yes, sir.
So you're aware.
I am aware of the paste copy of the liquidation report, but the supporting documents were not presented to me.
So it was not presented to you, you just signed it?
It was,
You're the chief accountant?
yes, sir, but it was just a formality that it should be covered by the liquidation report. But
No, but supposedly you're the chief accountant, you have checked.
But per joint circular, sir, it was stated that the liquidation report plus the supporting documents shall be submitted by the disbursing officer direct to the ICPAO without any presentation to the chief accountant.
Yung ICPAO po, saan po department under yun?
COA, yung Intelligence and Audit Office ng Intelligence and Confidential Funds.
COA, do you confirm it?
CR break lang po si Attorney Camora, sir.
So, okay. I will wait for Atty. Zamora. So, ma'am, are you telling this committee na ministerial lang yung sa'yo?
Come again, sir.
Are you telling us na ministerial lang po kayo? Pumirma kayo dito without looking at the liquidation?
Honestly, yes, sir, I will say yes.
Oh, di may problema. Because if ever a case will be filed against dito po sa liquidation na may problema, pumirma ka dito, di part ka ng case.
But then again, sir, under the joint circular, it was clearly stated that the documents and supporting documents to the liquidation report shall be directly submitted to the COA. And it means that it will not pass through the accounting.
Oh, GMC, COA, pakicheck nga, shall.
Mr. Chair, with the indulgence
Congressman
of
Akop,
Paduano,
you're recognized.
Madam Accountant, mukhang mali yata. If you read the joint circular, there's a provision there. Teka, hanapin ko. Kasi may kopya ko nun eh. Nakalagay doon, under paragraph 4.16, in case of misuse of the intelligence or confidential fund, and depending on the participation in the transaction, the budget officer, chief accountant, the treasurer, and the project officer may likewise be held accountable with the special dispersing officer. So you can be accountable, madam. It's a provision of the joint circular.
But then again, Your Honors, per provision 6.1.8.4, it was stated that the supporting document should be submitted by the, no, it's not. So sorry, again. That,
Mali yung binabasa mo.
Sir-
6.1.8.4?
my apologies, sir.
Oh, kasi
Ay.
mali eh.
Okay.
I have a copy of your circular here. Binabasa ko nga eh.
So it was under 6.2, the liquidation of the cash advance. It was stated under 6.2.2, all cash advances for CF and IF shall be liquidated within 30 days after every quarter and from the approved date, target date of completion. Submission of the liquidation report duly signed by the head of agency or SDO, approved by the head of agency, together with the supporting documents under Section 6.2.3 hereof and listed in the covering transmittal letter of the LR. This shall be submitted directly to the ICPAO in a sealed envelope with a visible label confidential for ICPAO only through any of the following: registered mail courier and authorized licensed officers. So, under this provision, it was clearly stated or implied that the documents didn't pass through or were not reviewed by the accounting office.
So how do you reconcile that with paragraph 4.16? Sige nga. Kasi ini-excuse mo yung sarili mo because of a provision of the circular. But the same circular says that you can be accountable. How do you reconcile that?
It could be stated here, sir, but honestly, and as I didn't, it was not presented really to the accounting office, the supporting documents.
Hindi po yun ang tinatanong ko, madam. Ang tinatanong ko po, dinidepensa mo yung sarili mo using a provision of the circular, but the same circular states na ikaw ay accountable. How do you reconcile that? Kasi nasa akin yung kopya ng circular ninyo, ng COA, eh. Oh. Kaya nga ako nag-intervene dahil ini-excuse mo yung sarili mo sa liability. Pero the circular says that you can be liable. Diba? Yeah. You read 4.16. Wala pa yung COA, eh.
May we know from the representative of COA
Uh,
to be clarified to us on the matter?
Your Honor, based on the documents from our confidential team, the liquidation report that was signed by Ms. Catalan, certified supporting documents complete and proper as the accounting unit. But then, if looking at the joint circular, it's stated there that the liquidation report in Annex E should be signed by the SDO, the accounting unit, or the SDO, meaning SDO Special Disbursing Officer who was given the cash advance of the confidential fund, the Special Disbursing Officer. So if she was not the SDO,
Ano po yung sinicertify ng accountant?
when she signed the liquidation report of the 37.5, certifying that the supporting documents complete and proper.
So, paano po ninyo sasabihin na complete kung hindi naman niya nakita? Could you please clarify us? Paano niya sasabihin na complete ang isang dokumento kung hindi naman niya nakita yung loob?
Ms. Catalan.
Parang hindi po yata match.
Your Honor, it has to be Ms. Catalan who will answer such.
Ma'am, how can you certify something as complete and proper if you did not verify what is the content of the documents?
Sir, it is a standard procedure that every liquidation document should be covered by a signed
No, but
liquidation.
that is common sense eh.
Yes, sir. But
Paano po kayo magse-certify ng isang dokumento na complete and proper nang hindi nyo nakita? Hindi po ba kayo nagtaka na nagse-certify kayo ng isang dokumento na complete and proper pero hindi nyo naman nakikita yung laman ng loob?
unfortunately, that was the case, sir.
Did you bother to ask the legal department or the COA na bakit kailangan dumaan pa po sa inyo? Bakit nyo kailangan i-certify ang isang bagay nang hindi ninyo ini-inspeksyon o tinitingnan?
It was one of the requirements, sir, and I was made to sign that document, unfortunately.
Chairman, ako rin I ask...
Congressman Paduano,
yes, thank you,
please continue.
Chairman. And I ask Ms. Catalan, yung tenure of office niya since 2010 pa. And I think they're doing it since then without checking the liquidation report. And ano na po, pumirma lang. But ma'am, eto ngayon nandito sa akin yung GMC, yung binasa mo is 4.2. Eto mama, yung 6.3.3. Ito specific mandate of each and every officials which covered by this GMC. Ito, 6.3.3, the agency accountant. It's you, ma'am. Tama? And look at 6.3.3D, paragraph D. You are mandated to submit all disbursement vouchers for cash advance for intelligence and confidential activities / projects, with complete required supporting documents within 7 working days from release of the check. Oh. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na you're not accountable. Hindi mo rin pwedeng sabihin na diretsong ibigay sa COA. Because malinaw po sa mandate mo that you have to submit disbursement vouchers, confidential activities and projects with complete required supporting documents. Oh, within 7 days.
Can I respond, Your Honor? The 6.1.8.4 pertains to the pre-audit of the cash advance.
I'm telling about, no, that is not 6.8.4. I'm saying about the 6.3.3B.
6.3.
Inconsistent with the provision that was read by Chairman Akop. Your mandate. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, it is on record that that the chief accountant of the DepEd never bothered to check the liquidation report. He just signed it without looking at the details of such report. And it is on record, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond, Your Honor? This is the first time that we have encountered cash advances for confidential fund. But for the regular cash advances for regular funds, we always ensure that the documents attached to the liquidation of the cash advances were complete. But again, for this, this is the first time that we have encountered these cash advances for confidential fund. And the procedure seems quite different, actually and honestly.
But of course, you have the joint memorandum circular, and there is a provision with regards to the mandate of the chief accountant, the SDO, and all other officials of agency. Malinaw po yun, ma'am. So, I think once again, Mr. Chairman, it's like to put on record na inamin po ng chief accountant ng DepEd na she never bothered to check the authenticity, the correctness of such liquidation report, Mr. Chairman.
Sir,
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, please.
May I correct the word not bothered, that I did not bother to check the completeness of the documents. During that time, no matter how, maybe, this is the first time ngayon may cash advance ng confidential fund, but I was made to sign it. So,
You were made to sign it. By whom?
because it is a requirement that the liquidation should be covered by the liquidation voucher.
But that is, ma'am, that is your mandate. And
Yes.
your statement that you signed it without looking at the details, di ba? And that is on record.
Yes, sir, it was,
O ano ngayon yung gusto mong i-explain?
sir, I'm trying to explain that it was stated sa joint circular that it seems or implied that the documents, supporting documents, should be directly submitted to COA in sealed envelope.
And that is your interpretation, ma'am, that we have read the GMC.
Yes, sir.
O now, what? Are you telling this representation that I'm wrong? And Chairman Akop?
No, sir, my apologies if you have misinterpreted what I'm trying to explain.
No, I did not misinterpreted you. You're telling me that my statement is not correct.
No, sir, I'm not saying, I'm sorry po, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I'm trying to explain on why I signed that liquidation.
Oh, tell you to sign the document. Are you forced to sign the document?
Not really forced, but I was
Not really.
requested to sign the document.
Oh, you signed the document, but you never bothered to read this mandate of yours?
Ma'am, who ordered you to sign the document? Who ordered you to sign the document?
Not really ordered, but I was requested by...
Yes, who requested you to sign the document?
By ASEC Shine Paharda.
Sino po?
Si Assistant Secretary Shine Paharda.
Sunshine Fajarda. Okay.
ASIC, sa anong department po?
Department of Education po.
Ano, specific na ano niya, position?
Office ng Secretary.
The office of the secretary. But he was not the signatory of this document, di ba? Only her husband. Tama?
It was...
Edward Farda signed it. BP signed it, and you signed it. But you were requested by Ms. Farda?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, all the more that we have to, Ms. Sunshine Farda should be present in the next hearing. Para po patutunahanan yung statement ni Ms. Catalan. Sabihin na natin, you were requested to sign it. So why did you sign it? As per request of Ms. Farda?
Yes, Your Honor, because it is needed as a covering letter or covering document to the liquidation documents, supporting documents.
Oo nga, pero sabi ko na nga, kaya nga statement ko kanina, you don't even bother to check. Pumirma ka lang. Di ba? No, it's either it's your lapse or you were forced to sign it without checking all those liquidation report. Di ba, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
O, ano bang tama? Nagkamali ka lang? Nakaligtaan mo i-check? Or you were forced to sign it without checking the liquidation report?
It's hindi po nakaligtaan, but it is a needed document in the submission of the liquidation.
Of course, I know it. It is needed, you have to sign it. But ang question is, siyempre accountable ka, ma'am, because of your mandate or your position, di ba? Now, sabi ko na, nakaligtaan mo or you were forced?
I was requested, sir.
Hindi ka nga. Saan ba? Nakaligtaan mo or you were requested?
You were
requested na pirmahan ka agad without checking the liquidation report?
Yes, sir.
O, Mr. Chairman, again, kung anong word gamitin, requested ba o she was forced to sign it without checking the liquidation report, ganun pa rin yun. Di ba? Ganun pa rin yun.
Ma'am, meron po akong isang tanong. Nakakatanggap po ba kayo ng envelope kay ASEC Paharda? Yung totoo po, ma'am. Remember, you are under oath. Aside from your allowance, from your regular budget, nakakatanggap po ba kayo ng envelope just like Yusek Mercado and Director Osias from ASEC Paharda?
Yes, sir.
Magkakano?
Minimal amount lang po.
Which is how much po?
It's not even,
Magkano po?
it's 25,000.
25,000. How many times po? If you could recall.
9?
Ilan?
9 times.
9 times. From what month up to what month? Let me guess. From February to September?
I think so, sir.
So, nung September po, tumigil na.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just like Yusek Mercado. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, thank you po.
Mr. Chairman, lastly, I'd just like to manifest, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, can I, last
Yes.
na lang po. Ma'am, actually, ma'am, talagang naawa din ako sa inyo. Kasi, tingnan mo, accountable ka dito. Sabi mo kanina, ni-request ka. Pero, ang labas pa rin, ganun eh. You were requested, but, tapos, medyo kalakaran na may lagayan sa loob. Kaya nga ako, ma'am, I want to just express my sympathy to you. Naawa talaga kami sa inyo. Napipilitan kayong permahan yung isang bagay na hindi tama. Ngayon kung may kaso, pag lumabas yung NDA, yung finality nun, tatamaan kayo dyan. Ano process? Ako, Mr. Chairman, sabi ko nga, naawa lang ako dito sa mga officials ng DepEd. Pag ganito yung kalakaran. Ngayon, 2 na. Baka sunod, hindi lang 2. Di ba? Kaya, Mr. Chairman, at least ngayon, umamin na si ma'am, tama na ako. Okay na ako, Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Senior Deputy Speaker, Don Gonzales, you're recognized.
Ma'am, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address my question to Ms. Catalan, ma'am, the accountant. Ma'am, Mr. Chairman, siguradong dumaan sa iyo itong cheque na to, di ba? You're the accountant. Yung 37.5 million. Tama ho ba?
Your Honor, hindi po dumaan sa akin yung cheque kasi ang napadala po sa amin ay voucher.
Tama.
It would-
Meaning to say, the voucher is the basis sa preparasyon ng cheque. Di ho ba? No?
Yes, Your Honor.
And definitely, there is a date put in the voucher and they will follow that date in preparing the check. So the check was signed by, of course, Yusek Sibilia and Yusek Mercado. Ang napansin ko lang po dito, in your recollection, 2023 yung isang check, that was February 20, 2023. That's number 1 check for the 37.5. Number 2 check, I thought this is quarterly. Ang date po ng cheque is April 19, 2023. It falls down to 1 quarter. Isang quarter lang po yung 2 cheque na issue. Ang pangatlong na cheque na issue po ng November 23, 2023. At hindi po, na-issue po pala yung pangatlong cheque is July 11, 2023. In your recollection, tama ho ba itong cheque and based on your obligation, on your voucher during the processes of the vouchers into check?
Parang tama po, Your Honor.
Tama. So, tama ho ba yung tanong ko na per quarter at 2 cheque po yung ginawa niyong 37.5 in 1 quarter? Tama ho ba?
No, Your Honor. Per quarter po siya.
Per quarter is February.
February for the first quarter, and then yung April for the second quarter, and then yung July for the third quarter.
So, tama ho ba?
Po.
Okay. So, that is equivalent to 37.5 times 3. That is equivalent to 112.5 million. Number 2 question po. Itong 125 million under Gina Acosta, ang date po ng check na is July 13, 2023. Halos nagkasabay lang po yung July 11 ng DepEd at saka yung July 13 ng OVP. Ang OVP is 125 million and the DepEd is 37.5 million. Kaya ang tinatanong ko po, wala na po yung land bank, umalis na? Kanina. Umalis na po yung land bank? So, meaning to say, ang July 11 at saka yung July 13, ang na-withdraw po is 37.5 million at saka yung 125 million. Tama ho ba sa, ay, hindi po kayo ting OVP pala, DepEd kayo. May OVP ba dito? OVP? Sa management, po. Wala. Kasi kung tignan mo itong dalawang cheque, isang mukha lang po ito 2 days lang po ang diferensya. July 11 and July 20, 2023 of the amount of 37.5 and 125 million. Kaya tinatanong ko po sana yung land bank, kaso wala na. Next hearing ko na lang po, Mr. Chairman, tanungin. Kasi tatanungin ko siya kung paano niya na-withdraw itong 3 cheque at saka itong 125 million. So, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, SDS.
Chairman, interject
Yes, Congressman Lara, please.
Yes, yung tanong chairman ni SDS Dong para sa OVP, I think nandito si Attorney Puga, baka pwede niyang sagutin yung tanong ni DS Dong.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
if I may
nandito
be-
ang OVP, former din naman.
Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized. Wala pa po kasi ako sa OVP nung 2023. I was with DepEd at that time, sir. So, I really wouldn't know kung ano yung nangyari dyan.
Ano po kasi dating nakita ko lang po itong cheque
Opo.
na yung date kasi halos magkapareho po yung date.
Yeah, opo.
So July 11, 2023, yung last check, the 37.5, at saka July 13, 2023, yung 125 million.
Opo.
So meaning to say,
Malapit. Opo.
summation of that two equivalents to sum.
Yes, sir.
Yun po yung sinasabi
But,
ko. Mr. Chairman.
yun po. Unfortunately, sir, I got out of DepEd nung nag-resign si VP, which was already July 2024. I believe, sir.
Andito pala yung land bank. Ma'am, sorry na.
Diyan na po yung land bank, SDS.
Sorry ma'am, nakabalik kayo, di ba? Magtatanong ko lang sana kung itong Edward Paharda, kasi po ako nagtanong to last hearing, di ba yung cheque, papaingkas, ikaw yung branch manager, di ba? Pag papaingkas po yung cheque, nakaprepare yung pera, bigay mo sa counter. Pag binigay mo yung pera sa counter, may papipirma po kayo sa kanya, di ba? Yung receive, the amount of this, and sa likod ng cheque, pipirma pa po si Mr. Paharda. Tama ho ba?
Yes, sir. The client will sign as acknowledgement na
And at the back of the
ni-receive
check,
niya yung cheque. The cash.
the cash. So, pwede nyo kaming bigyan nung receiving copy, nung 3 receiving copy from Land Bank, yung 37.5 million.
We will check our records,
Yes, ma'am.
sir.
Thank you. Tapos, ma'am, number 2, itong kay Gina Acosta na 125 million, sabi nyo kanina sa Show Boulevard po to, pinahingkas. Pwede po, yung sino nag-receive nitong July 13, 2023, na pinahingkas po niya yung 125 million. At yung July 11, na pinahingkas naman ni Edward Parda under your branch. Para ipagsusog lang po natin yung dalawang cheque. Pwede ho ba?
We will check our records,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the question to Ms. Catalan. Do you realize your accountability on this and consequence of what you did, Ms. Catalan?
Yes, Your Honor.
I would like to ask once again, were you requested or were you pressured?
I was requested, sir.
You were requested. You were not pressured at all. Come on, tell us the truth here.
I was requested, sir, in a nice way.
Thing is this, you received an envelope 9 times, am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that not a form of pressure?
Honestly, sir, the first time I met or I talked with...
Have you ever asked, why are you being given an envelope?
Yes, sir, I asked her. But
What was the answer?
it's just an allowance from the Vice President.
Was that?
It was just an allowance from the Vice President. Actually, I
Is
asked
that
allowance.
is that liquidated, or is that recorded, or is just given to you? Because it's a bit different when you say allowance and it's just an envelope given to you. Am I right?
Sir, the first time I received it, I honestly asked Shine, Ma'am, is it part of the confidential fund? Sabi niya, no. It was just an allowance from the Vice President. So, for me, honestly, I received it knowing that it
Okay.
was not part of the
Who gave you
confidential
Who gave you the envelope?
fund. ASEC, Sunshine Fajarda.
Who requested you to sign the accounting report?
It was also ASEC Shine Fajarda.
Therefore, if it was ASEC Paharda who requested you, as you said, to sign, and she is also the one that gave you the envelopes, would you not think that it's a form of pressure on your part? Come on, but please tell us the truth here. Because look, I think you know what I mean, isn't it? I do not think that you are going to receive envelopes from the same person that requested you without you realizing the pressure of signing it. Ms. Catalan.
Your Honor, at the first giving of the envelope, I honestly asked ASEC Shine if it is part of the confidential fund. Sabi niya, hindi, this is just an allowance from the Secretary. So I trusted her word for that. And without any thinking na it was really part of the confidential fund, honestly on my part. So I received it honestly on my part without any, it was part of the confidential fund.
I am saying this to you because alam mo, talagang my heart goes out to you, Miss Catalan. You know, I think it would be best that, you know, in your own heart, you have been pressured because you received the envelopes. They're not only being requested. You have been pressured because you received envelopes thinking that they are just allowances, but you know it is never recorded. It is not part of the budget that was given to the OVP or the Secretary of Education. It's not part. Did you sign a voucher for it?
No, Your Honor.
See? I mean, so what I'm saying is this. Those 9 envelopes you received is a form of pressure on your part or on the part of the same person that asked you to sign. Miss Catalan. Am I right? Yes or no? No. Yes or no?
Maybe, Your Honor.
No, it's not maybe. It's yes, isn't it? Am I right?
Maybe, Your Honor.
Am I pressuring you now? Am I pressuring you now?
I'm so nervous right now, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair.
The Chair would like
Mr.
to
Chairman.
recognize the presence of the Honorable Jude Asidre. the Deputy Majority Leader from Tingog Party List.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this
Congressman
will be my
Paduano.
last manifestation, Mr. Chairman. Just I want to put in the record that in today's hearing, Ms. Catalan, the head accountant, chief accountant of DepEd, admitted that indeed he was, as the term being used by her is being requested to sign, but of course, tumanggap din po ng extra si Ms. Catalan. Now, but in the previous hearing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to put in record that it is not only Catalan na tumanggap ng ang sobre. Attorney Restillases Osias also admitted. Now, even Attorney Michael Wesley Poa, nandito ngayon, admitted also, but that was December, only December. But he still admitted that he received some amount from the Vice President. And of course, Miss Gloria Jumamil also, Mercado. Si Ma'am, bit-bit niya pa yung mga sobre, no? Yung original na mga sobre. At nandito ngayon, no? In possession natin. And of course, lahat na to is galing from Miss Sunshine Farda na heya ni BP at the same time asawa nung SDO ng Office of the Vice President in relation to confidential fund. So as of now, apat na po ng mga officials ng Vice President na umamin na tumatanggap po ng sobre galing sa Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Mr. Chair?
Congressman Sia Alonso.
I yield to the senior.
Yes,
I just have a few
with the
questions, but I yield
indulgence
to.
of, Congressman
But I yield
Sia,
to Chairman.
The chair would like to recognize Congressman Ako.
Thank you. Madam Catalan, dadagdagan ko yung pagka-nervyos mo. Nag-iisip lang ako dun sa sinabi mo na noong binigyan ka ng unang sobre, sinabi mo kagad, ang tanong mo kagad galing ba ito sa confidential fund? Tama po ba yung pagkarinig ko?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit ganun ang tanong mo?
Because honestly, I'm wondering ba't ako bibigyan? And during...
Ngayon,
it was after
honestly,
the...
nagtanong ka kung bakit ka binibigyan. Ano ang sagot doon sa tanong mo na yun?
But I was made to understand by ASEC Shai na it is an allowance from the secretary,
Kayo po yung accountant, di po ba?
Yes,
Matanong
sure.
ko po kayo, saan po nanggaling na pondo, ang source of fund, nung allowance na binigay sa inyo?
Well, I didn't have the courage to ask for that anymore.
Uy, tinanong mo, you had the courage to ask, galing ba ito sa confidential fund? Tapos you did not have the courage to ask, saan galing yan kung hindi galing sa confidential fund? Di po ba?
Sure, Honor.
Di ba? May lakas kang loob na tanungin, galing ba ito sa confidential fund? Pero hindi mo tinanong nung sinabi niya, hindi galing sa confidential fund yan. Saan galing? Di ba dapat yun ang sunod na tanong? Following your line of questioning. Kasi, madam, it is irrelevant whether you're aware of what you have signed or not. Kasi under the circular, you can be also liable. You cannot escape that kasi sa dami na inimbestigahan ko, basta nakikita yung signature na nandun yung signature, papailan ka ng kaso ng investigador. Di ba? Kaya nagkukuhan ako dun sa kwan You were brave enough to ask kung galing sa confidential fund. Kasi nasa isip mo na dun sa pinirmahan mo, dun manggagaling yung pondo na binibigay sa iyo as an allowance. Di ba? Yun na napasok sa isip mo na binigyan ka ng allowance sa pagpirma mo dahil sa confidential fund. sa pag-clear o liquidate ng confidential fund. Di ba, Iha?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And you didn't know that because of your signature, pwede kang lumubog. Tama? Iha?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sige. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, with the indulgence of Congressman Adjong, in
Congressman
relation to
Abante,
what
you are recognized.
Congressman Akop said, I remember some years ago, Mr. Chair, that when the Vice President was still in the DepEd, that there is a rule that she made, no gift policy. Am I right, Attorney Poa?
Yes, Your Honor. That is correct, Your Honor.
That's the rule. No gift policy. Do you remember that, Ms. Catalan?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why is she giving envelopes? If the rule in her office is no gift policy. Therefore, even the Vice President would think that whenever a gift is given, that's bribery. That is subtle bribery. Ms. Catalan.
Maybe.
Not maybe. Sabi mo sa akin, no gift policy. So therefore, if the Vice President said that there is no gift policy, therefore she is trying to avoid any kind of a bribery or a corruption in his part. Attorney Powa, can you please, do you believe that?
Well, yes, I do believe that, Your Honor, because even as OSEC, when I was in OSEC, no gifts talaga kami from anyone. No gifts. No gift policy was in place.
So, nakita niyo yung answer ng dating spokesperson ni Vice President. Am I right? That's the reason why I'm asking you if you are pressured. Siguro kinakailangan. Sabihin mo na rito sa amin. You were pressured because of the allowances given to you. Oo. Hindi nyo na kinakailangan pagtakpan pa yung nagbigay sa iyo eh. Ikaw, Miss Catalan, ikaw po ang accountable dito. Ikaw ang kawawa dito. You do not even need to protect those that gave to you the envelopes. Because the fact is this, when the rule in the Vice President's office is no gift policy, she would think that to be corruption. Oh, therefore, yung pagbigay ng allowance sa iyo is actually subtle bribery. Hindi po ba?
But according kasi kay Attorney Shine during that time, it came from the secretary and who was really just maybe, he was just grateful dun sa performance namin. So I considered it not really a form of bribery, or I was not pressured to sign the liquidation voucher, but I was requested to sign it, sir.
I'm not going to, in any way try to convince you otherwise, Ms. Catalan. What I'm just trying to say is, when the rule of the Vice President is no gift policy. In fact, hindi nga siya tumatanggap ng gift sa amin eh, kahit nabigyan namin siya eh. Hindi siya tumatanggap eh. Ngayon, kung siya mismo hindi tumatanggap, ba siya nagbibigay sa inyo? As a form of gratitude. That's your duty, Ms. Catalan. Whether there is no envelope given as a form of gratitude, it's your duty to do your job. Am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what I'm saying.
Congressman Sia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to do some follow-ups on the questions of the Chairman. Ms. Catalan, I'd like to know, I think this has already been ask of you. Pero I'd like to know, how long have you been working in DepEd?
I've been with the department for almost 36 years, sir.
36 years. As a accountant, no, familiar naman po kayo sa trabaho ninyo for the past 3 decades. Alam niyo po yung differences between incentives, bonuses, allowances, hindi ho ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you say bonuses and all of these categories, meron pinagkukunan po ng pondo dyan, di ba? Nakalaan naman po yan, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you enlighten me po, because according to your responses, you treat this regular, I don't know how to label it, but as a gift, no? Just for the lack of a better term, kasi hindi mo po ma-pinpoint kung saan talaga galing yon. Pwede niyo po sabihin, clarify sa amin kung based on your experience, kasi alam naman po natin may mga bonuses yan, di ba? Sa mga regular employees. In fact, before the end of this year, mayroon talagang bonus packages yan binibigay. And mayroon namang incentives, no? Can you at least distinguish based on your work, job description on how you appreciate the differences of this? Pag sinabi mo pong allowance, saan regular na kinukuha na pondo yan?
Normally, sir, pag regular po siya at saka yung normal siya sa appropriation or standards appropriation sa personal services ng agency.
Okay, sa personal services. Pag sinabi niyo pong mga incentives dun sa mga empleyado, because I believe there are also some employees who have, gone beyond what is expected of them, exemplary yung kanilang mga tinatrabaho, kaya nabibigyan sila ng incentives noon. Meron din ho kayong ganyan at saan po nakukuha din ho yan na category?
Sa DepEd, there was no line
Wala
item
po.
for incentives.
Walang incentives. So what about bonuses po?
Bonuses meron po, sir, sa personal services po
Sa
siya.
personal services, okay. So these allowances and these bonuses are regular funding.
Yes.
Tama po
Yes,
ba?
sir.
O, kasi
Yes,
alam
Your
niyo po
Honor.
pinagkukunan. So would you say po itong experience niyo for the past 36 years, has there any instance where a former or previous secretary have also done similar gifts or allowances, as you may call it, prior to the one that is now, but prior to the incumbency of then Secretary Duterte?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So, would it be safe to assume, Mr. Chair, that this is something irregular? Kasi ang sabi niyo po, the allowances and as well as yung mga bonuses are regular fundings. There are line items under your budget, kasi accountant kayo, at doon nakukuha. So it's a regular funding, no? According to you, there has never been for the past 3 decades of your work, your stay in DepEd, there has never been any instance where there's an administrative policy of your department that says pwede kayong magbigay regularly ng mga sobre sa mga empleyado. So that's sometimes something irregular, hindi ho ba?
Sir, I was made to understand that the allowance came from
But
the
you have
secretary
but you have
personally.
already described to us that the appreciation of allowances is actually based on irregular funding that is allotted to. So what else can you describe that kind of pabuya halimbawa o pagbibigay sa inyo? Since according to you hindi naman siya nagpo-fall as an allowance.
I was made to understand that it came from her personally.
Yeah.
Personal money niya. I was made to understand that it came from the personal money of the secretary.
Okay, so what do you, was there any instance, for example, na sabi nga ni Manong Romy kanina, what made you first ask si attorney na ito ba'y galing sa confidential funds, hindi ho ba? That's your initial Ibig sabihin, you already had a prejudgment that this may come from the confidential funds. And then later on, you were made to believe, according to you, that it's come from the budget of the OVP. personal budget of the OVP. Sa inyo po bang palagay? I'm just asking you now, not as a consultant, but as a regular, average-minded person. Sa inyo palagay, kaya ho ba yun ng isang tao nang magbigay ng ganong regularly ng amount based ho doon sa sitwasyon nung nagbibigay? In this case, Secretary, just your
Sa akin, sir, kasi kaya naman niya kasi malaki naman sweldo ng secretary.
Okay, so ang palagay niyo doon doon sa inyo napupunta yung kanyang, sa palagay niyo yun?
Yun, sir, honestly. Yun ang palagay ko. Kaya I was made to understand that it came from the personal money of the secretary.
Okay, so gusto ko lang pong malaman na Ms. Catalan, how often did you receive these funds? I mean, this
Monthly.
monthly, so ilang months po kayo nag-receive ng ano?
February to...
So when did it start? When did it start? Kasi sinabi nyo confidential fund. When did it start? When the confidential fund was requested? When was the confidential fund requested again?
The first issuance of the confidential fund was around February.
So when did you receive the allowance?
After the release of the cash.
Okay, so that made you think
Yes,
that it's a confidential.
yes.
But prior to the confidential fund, you were never received any.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so hindi mo masasabi na galing personal money niya yun.
Again, I trusted.
Yeah, but you said, Ms. Catalan, that you made to understand that it was malaki naman ang sweldo niya. So bakit nung umupo siya, hindi na siya nag-start magbigay? Bakit nag-start siya magbigay nung first na na-release na rin yung confidential funds? I think that's what made you think that it's part of the confidential funds. Again, Mr. Chair, just a manifestation na sabi nga, it's something irregular. It does not happen, no? In the previous, it did not happen prior to the release or request of the confidential funds. That would be all, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Nabante.
nakatanggap po kayo ng 9 envelopes na nagkakahalaga ng 25,000 each, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
That would be around almost 250,000 all in all. Kung 10 yan,
225.
225,000. So alam niyo po, that is 225,000 in all. Alam niyo yon.
Yes, Your Honor.
And kailan po natapos yon? Na pagbibigay?
September po.
September of last year?
2023, Your Honor.
September of 2010.
2023. Your Honor.
2023. Oo. Kailan po natapos ang pag-release ng confidential fund?
Third quarter, Your Honor.
Ng
I cannot-
2023.
July po yung release ng check for the third quarter.
Of 2023,
Yes, sir,
correct?
Your Honor.
Oo. So hindi pa kayo nakahalata na that's part of the of your responsibility of signing. Yun nakukuha niyong allowances. Remember, ha? Tinan nyo, maigi. 225,000. Alam nyo, pinilang nyo, you counted it. Sa yun lang po.
Your Honor, may I be recognized? Committee Secretary, Your Honor.
Comsec, you're recognized.
Your Honor, we would like to recognize the presence of Honorable Lord Dan G. Suan from the 1st District of Cagayan de Oro. Welcome, Your Honor.
Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Isidre.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang
Yes,
itanong
Congressman
kay-
Isidre, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang balikan yung sinabi kanina ni Ms. Catalan na yung paniniwala po niya, yung pera na ibinigay sa kanya nang galing po sa sweldo ng dating sekretary. Tama po ba?
Personal money po niya, Your Honor.
Pero narinig ko kanina sweldo, di ba?
Tinanong kasi kung naniniwala ako na kaya. Sabi ko naman, kasi malaki naman sweldo niya.
Pero for the record lang, may sweldo ba si VP Sara as Secretary of Education?
Wala, Your Honor. Nasa OBP siya.
Okay, yun lang po.
Wala na?
Mr. Chair,
Please continue.
pwede po bang maitanong kay Yusek Mimpin po? Pwede po bang ma-request na sumagot ng tanong si Yusek Mimpin?
Yusek Mempin.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you po, Yusek, Mr. Chair. Yusek Mimpin, Mr. Chair, ano po yung designation ninyo ulit sa DepEd?
Former USEC for admin po.
Pero ngayon hindi na po kayo Yusek for...
No more, sir.
Kailan po kayo na-appoint at kailan po natapos?
I was appointed as USEC June 21, 2023, sir.
June 21, 2023
23 po, sir.
at natapos po?
July 19, the effectivity of the resignation of the Vice President as Secretary of DepEd, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, curious lang po ako kasi I sit po in the MSGC ng Armed Forces of the Philippines at ako po'y medyo curious sa situation na isang dating militar po ay ma-appoint po sa Department of Education. Is there any circumstance leading to your appointment? Parang, paano kaya na-consider? Sa tingin niyo po ba trust and confidence ang rason bakit kayo na-appoint as Undersecretary?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So, ibig sabihin, matagal niyo na hong kilala, Mr. Chair, ang dating Secretary, si Vice President Sara Duterte?
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Kailan po kaya, Mr. Chair, ninyo naging kilala si VP Sara?
When I was designated as the commander of Task Force Davao in 2017, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So, na-appoint po kayo sa Davao?
Yes, sir.
Sa
as
Task
the-
Force Davao po, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tanong ko lang po, Mr. Chair, paano po nakatulong yung experience nyo bilang military person sa DepEd po? Sa inyong trabaho sa DepEd, Mr. Chair?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I do believe our leadership and management style was the basis because actually I was designated USEC for admin and not on more on the education like the curriculum and teaching strand. So when I was recruited, I accepted the offer of the Vice President and former Secretary, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chair, sa malamang sa hindi po, naging kasama din po kayo sa pagbalangkas o di kaya sa pag-monitor yung mga activities regarding insurgency, recruitment ng mga grupo dun sa DepEd, sa mga estudyante o di kaya sa mga teacher?
No, sir, because when I was actually as Congresswoman Luistro, during the last hearing, I was also prior to my designation as USEC for admin, I was recruited first as consultant because I just retired from the military service January 28 of 2023, and most of the commanders or the field unit commanders are my colleagues. So that's, I do believe, the advantage that I have in terms of collaboration with the security sector, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chair, would you, with Yusek Mimpin, categorically say na you had no participation whatsoever in all these activities related to intelligence operations within the Department of Education?
Yes, Your Honor, because there's no, in the mandate of the USEC for administration, there's no tasking or function about coordination with other agency. I do believe is the purview of the operational strand because they are the one directly supervising the divisions and districts and even down to the school, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Naitanong ko po to, Mr. Chair, kasi kung titignan natin, hindi ho birong halaga ang itinilaga ng DepEd, Mr. Chair, sa mga confidential activities, lalo na itong mga purchase of information. Since you mentioned that you were working with the divisions and the regions, Mr. Chair, ang tanong ko lang po, may data po kaya from the regional or division offices on the recruitment of students or teachers by subversive organizations?
Personally, sir, I do not have the information, but as the armed forces have some based on their intelligence report, they do have some data on recruitment, but to the specific, I don't have the information, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
But on its own, DepEd, did they undertake any investigation or study in order to establish for a fact, even as to the extent of the prevalence of subversive organizations within the department or within the school system?
I was not aware if there's any study made prior or up to now because it's the purview of the operations. Maybe the USEC for operation could give us answer your question, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, baka pwede pong sagutin ni USEC po. Meron kayang study na ginawa ang DepEd na mag-i-establish po to the extent ng prevalence nitong mga subversive organizations within the school system?
Yung sa personal knowledge ko po, meron pong mga collaboration no at that time when I was there with NICA, NTFL, CAC. I got for a previous budget hearing wherein I mentioned nga na there were X number of schools in Metro Manila with recruitment. I believe the information actually came from NICA and CR. But with yung talagang operationalizing yung pag-check kung saan may recruitment, wala po akong personal knowledge. I was actually looking at USEC RevC, so she's the USEC for operations, to check no kung meron siyang knowledge on that.
Pwede ba natin tanungin si USEC RevC kung meron?
Sorry, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Your Honors.
USEC, then, what's your name again?
USEC Revsi Escobedo.
You're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honors, with regard po regarding sa data, kami po ay collaborate and ask for some data with NTFL, CAC, and NICA because with regard dun sa pangangalap ng data about these organizations above ground and underground, wala po kaming capability and competence to do that.
So there is no way that DepEd would have the competence, Mr. Chair, to gather the data, to ensure its accuracy, or even establish its relevance. We were totally dependent on the information provided by NICA and LTF-LCAC.
Yes, Your Honors.
So if that's the case, Mr. Chair, what's the basis for having appropriated this big amount of money when there is no way that the department will establish it internally? Di ba? Yun ang tanong ko, Mr. Chair. Paano po nakapag-desisyon ang Departamento ng Edukasyon na maglaan ng ganitong kalaking amount ni wala namang pamamaraan internally ang Department of Education to understand or to establish lang naman the extent of subversive activities. Kasi kung wala pong ganong basihan at ang information lang ho ay nanggaling sa NICA at sa LCAC, di ba dapat mas tama na sila na rin din ang lagyan ng pondo kaysa sa Department of Education, Mr. Chair? Yusek Mimpin.
May I elaborate? Actually, the Department of Education, as the trust of former Secretary, the protection of children, that's why there's a collaboration between security sector, meaning the armed forces, the Philippine National Police, wherein they conducted information education campaign and also the wireless and even the campaigns against drug because, for example, nabanggit na po kanina yung conduct of wireless. Sa wireless po kasi is a program of...
Mr. Chair, I'll cut you there, sir. There is no question about fighting insurgency. There is no question against responding to all these threats. But the thing is, there must have been a measurable way of determining ganito ang kailangan naming amount kasi ganito nakalaki ang problema. Ang tanong, meron bang ganyang ginawa sa loob ng DepEd to be able to justify assigning this amount for this kind of activities?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I was not aware if there's any.
Yusek, meron, Yusek, Mr. Chair, Yusek.
Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized. Mr. Chair, when the amount was proposed under, I believe, for 2023, no, so 2022 budget, I was still a spokesperson. I was not part of OSEC, so I had no, I cannot give you any information on how the amount was derived, Your Honor.
I think, Mr. Chair, the reason bakit walang makasagot ng direkta kung may empirical basis for assigning funds to these activities is because there is no basis at all. And if we can say that there's no basis and we cannot establish qualified outcomes kasi nga hindi natin ma-justify kasi outcomes kasi nga hindi natin ma-justify kasi wala din tayong basis, hindi rin natin ma-establish yung outcomes. Pwede ho natin, ako sa aking pananaw, pwede nating masabi na hindi talaga nangyari yung mga purchase of information, hindi talaga nangyari itong mga confidential activities. At basically, kailangan nating tanungin saan ba talaga napunta yung pera na nilaan for confidential funds. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Congresswoman Luistro.
Follow-up question for Yusek Mempin. Yusek, as shared earlier, it was stated by the Vice President during the press con na ang confidential fund po ng DepEd ginamit to obtain information so they could inform the military and the LGU where to hold the youth leadership summits and the information education campaigns. Are you aware, Yusek Mempin, sino po ba itong naging source ng information? Who were the basis of the information given to the military and the LGU?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge as to the person or groups of person that provided the information.
I understand, Yusek Mempin, that prior to your appointment as Yusek for Administration, you were hired as consultant for security services. Tama po ba?
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
And I am inclined to believe that for concerns pertaining to security, kayo po yun. Was there never an instance that you were consulted as to the possible source of information?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, my role as consultant on security matters is, as also mentioned by Yusek Rebsi, is coordinating and collaborating with other security sector as to the status of their intelligence collections and their efforts with regards to the protection of youth, particularly children, ma'am.
Let us be very specific, Yusek Mempin, as to the possible sources of confidential information to be provided to the military and to the LGU. Kayo po ba ay may nalalaman dito?
Personally, I have no direct information, ma'am.
Kung wala po kayong nalalaman dito, Yusek Mempin, then who among the officials of the DepEd has knowledge about the sources of information?
Personally, ma'am, I don't have, because as also I'm in my capacity as USEC for administration, I was not, in terms of particularly National Task Force LCAC, I was not the one representing DepEd and other security cluster. I am only member of the, requested to represent the secretary in the Anti-Terrorism Council, which is more on the extreme terrorism and the extremism.
In other words, Yusek Mempin, you have no knowledge at all about the sources of this confidential information.
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
During the last hearing, you testified that you were the one who requested for the certification of the 4 AFP officials. You confirm this?
That's, yes, I confirm, Your Honor, Mr.
This
Chair.
include Officer Manaros Buransing, Officer Carlos Sangdaan, Officer Magtanggol Panopio, and Officer Adonis Bahaw. You confirm?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Would you know, for the record, that the reason why the YLS and IECs that were conducted and to which these officers issued certification were result of the information that was given by DepEd? Nalalaman niyo po ba kung ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng YLS as certified by Buransing, Sangdaan, Panopio, and Bahaw ay ang mga impormasyon na na-obtain ng DepEd at ibinigay sa AFP?
I have no personal direct information that the information directly came from the Department of Education, but because in their certification is stated that the information gathered from the DepEd, LGU, and even Philippine National Police and some from the PDEA, ma'am.
If you are the one coordinating with these 4 AFP officers who issued the certification, and you have no knowledge at all about the connection of the source of information and the recipient of the YLS, is it a reasonable conclusion na wala naman po talagang information na na-provide sa AFP? Reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng YLS? Yes or no, Yusek?
May I be clarified? No, question, ma'am.
If you are the one coordinating with these officers, you and you alone coordinating with these officers who issued the certification on the conduct of YLS, and you're telling us wala kayong alam dun sa confidential information which are supposed to be the basis of the conduct of the YLS, would you agree with me if I would say wala naman talagang impormasyon na na-provide sa AFP? Because as a matter of fact, Yusek Mempin, during the last hearing, all these 4 officers testified that this YLS is part of the regular program. Do you agree? Yes or no?
Yes, I agree that it is a activity of the armed forces.
Yes, you agree that this is part of the regular activity of AFP with or without DepEd. The AFP regularly conducts YLS. Tama po ba?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And
Mr.
with
Chair.
regards to the information which are supposed to be provided by the DepEd to the AFP for the conduct of YLS, do you agree as well? Wala talagang information na na-provide? Yes or no?
I don't have the exact information whether they have the information directly coming from DepEd.
Yusek Mempin, you are the lone official of the DepEd coordinating with these 4 officers of AFP?
May I be allowed to elaborate further? Because I also, during my stint as commander in the field, we also conducted the Youth Leadership Summit during my battalion commander, brigade commander, and even division commander.
You were still with the AFP during the time.
Yes.
Because that is consistent with your prior testimony and even of the rest of the AFP officers that YLS is part of the regular activity with or without DepEd. AFP conducts YLS. Tama po ba?
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So what is your answer now? May information po bang na-provide?
Ma'am, as I have no knowledge if they have direct information or not.
I therefore conclude, Yusek Mempin, that no information was provided by DepEd to AFP. This is based on the fact that you're the lone DepEd official who are coordinating with these officers, and if you yourself has no knowledge at all, then who else will have a knowledge in DepEd? Mr. Chair, I wish to raise a few questions with Ms. Catalan. Ma'am.
Ms. Catalan, you're recognized.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
What made you decide to disclose the information to the committee that you received 9 envelopes?
I was just being honest because the Honorable Chair has asked me.
But what were you thinking when this question was raised? Were you thinking that it will incriminate you into an offense or crime, or were you thinking that it is just okay to disclose because you honestly believe that the same came from the personal money of the Vice President?
As I mentioned earlier, I was made to understand that the money came personally from the Secretary.
Ano po bang diferensya o pagkakaiba, Ms. Catalan? Kung yun po bang pera ay galing sa confidential fund at kung yung pera ay galing sa personal na pera ng Vice President, may diferensya po ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. Kasi nga, kaya ko siya tinanong nung una, is this part of the confidential fund? And I was made to understand na no.
From your personal standpoint, ma'am, kung yun po ba ay galing sa confidential fund, what therefore is the issue?
I could have said, I could have refused to ask.
Why, ma'am? Bakit mo i-refuse kung galing siya sa confidential fund?
Kasi po, may nababalitaan na kasi ako na pag confidential medyo may problema. So,
and yet you conformed to sign the liquidation. In spite of the knowledge that there are issues surrounding already confidential fund. Tama po ba?
I signed the liquidation voucher or liquidation report because it should be part of the liquidation documents
Yes,
that
I
should be
understand.
submitted.
But that is a confidential fund. Liquidation of confidential fund. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So ano po bang iniisip nyo na issue kung yung perang napabigay sa inyo ay galing sa confidential fund?
That could be subjected to post-audit.
That's all?
Yes, Your Honor.
Eh kung ito naman pong perang ito'y galing sa personal money ni Vice President, what will be the issue?
Sir, Your Honor, wala po kasi personal money naman po niya yun.
That's what you believe.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you been in the government?
I've been in the government for 36 years.
36 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
If that money is part of the confidential fund, then you will be implicated for a possible case of malversation. But if that money is part of the personal money of the Vice President, please understand that the mere act of receiving money, you being in the government, already constitute a violation of the law. And this is provided under Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, Republic Act 3019, paragraph 3B, receiving of gifts. The same is true with respect to Republic Act number 6713, Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards, Section 7, receiving of gifts. And ultimately, PD 46, prohibiting the giving and receiving of gifts to public officials and employees. I hope you understand that, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, yes.
Yes,
Just a
Congressman
few-
Sia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few questions I'd like to ask. Maybe I can direct my questions to Attorney Hua. Apart from your service to the Vice President as a spokesperson, you were once her Chief of Staff, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Attorney
You were-
Poa.
Mr. Chair, sorry. Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
you were
yes, Your
Chief
Honor,
of
that's
Staff
correct.
when she was the Secretary of DepEd.
For a time, not for the entire duration, Your Honor, but on the latter time. I started April 2023, Your Honor.
Up to when? What
Until
time did
July
you-
19 when she resigned.
So,
from
so a
DepEd.
portion of the discussion of the confidential funds, when it was brought out in the open, you were then still
Yes,
the Chief
Your
of Staff of the Vice President when
Yes,
she
Your
was also still the Secretary of DepEd.
Yes, Your
right?
Honor. Mr. Chair.
You heard about the testimonies of your fellow guests here, right? And they were mentioned about the sobre and the gifts. And I'm just wondering, was there any point in time that such bigayan sobre was when it was happening? What as a Chief of Staff, I presume that part of your job is the in and outs of the office of the Vice President, any memoranda, etc. I would just like to know, Mr. Chair, to your knowledge, do you have any, or would you know, for example, that such gifts are being given? Let's presume, no, assuming without conceding that there's in fact given, out of the good heart, no? Was there any point in time that you were made to also understand that this may be a regular process, that the Vice President is really giving out gifts to sobre to the employees of DepEd?
Mr. Chair.
Where were you when all of this are happening?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, again, I'm under oath. Hindi ko po alam na may ganyang pupunta sa office, binibigyan ng envelope. Perhaps I need to contextualize and give you an idea of the working relationship back in DepEd then. In DepEd, I think anyone who's worked with the Vice President would know that the way she does things, it's highly compartmentalized. No? So, for example, I may be in the same office as my ASEC, who was then ASEC Fajarda, but we had totally separate duties. So what does that mean? It means that she takes care of the OSEC proper because she was already HEA even before I came in as Chief of Staff. She was already HEA. No? So when I came in as Chief of Staff, the duties that were assigned to me was basically the day-to-day of DepEd. So meaning I would hold cluster meetings with the USECs on a weekly basis. My primary marching order was to deliver on the Matatag agenda. And perhaps, looking at it now, in a very direct manner, perhaps that's also why I was never really briefed on how confidential funds were being operationalized, on how, perhaps that's why even when I came in as Chief of Staff, I was not made SDO or signatory or anything. The only time I can honestly say that I encountered looking into the reports of confidential funds was when we were already issued an AOM. And at that time, I was also not just Chief of Staff, but I was OIC Finance. And so it was within my purview to address and respond to the AOM. I know it is very hard to maybe fathom or imagine na bakit hindi mo alam tong mga ganito. But I think anyone in DepEd and my DepEd family is here, they would know how compartmentalized we were at that time. In fact, coming into these congressional hearings, and to be very honest with you, sir, Mr. Chair, kung pwede ko lang sagutin yung confidential funds, Your Honor, gusto ko na sagutin. Kasi I've been defending DepEd since day one as the spokesperson in July 2022. So to be honest, if I could just defend DepEd now, defend the Vice President even, I would. But that's why I came here. When they ask me anything, minsan sabihin pa nga sa akin, why did you admit, but that's the truth. And I just want to be here and tell the truth. Ngayon, pag hindi ko talaga alam, I would say hindi ko talaga alam. And
Okay.
sorry for the long.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Let me ask Ms. Catalan. Ms. Catalan, when this when these envelopes were given to you, were you made also understand that this is done in secretly, or is just magandang ano lang, it's a regular binibigay lang na parang allowance lang, pang-gift lang, or may impression ba na wag mong sabihin, sa'yo na muna ito, or ganon?
Wala po, Your Honor.
So, ibig sabihin, talagang hindi siya sinesekreto.
Basta, Your Honor, papatawag ka lang sa office.
Papatawag ka sa office, pero alam mo na hindi lang ikaw yung nakakatanggap.
I'm not aware, Your Honor.
But you are aware that there are also others who may also be receiving the same allowances, as you may call it.
Siguro nasa isip ko lang na I'm not the only one, pero I didn't bother to know kung sino pa, or I didn't, because I was discreet lang siya.
So discreet siya.
Opo.
So ibig sabihin, there was never any instance where ka-close mo sa opisina nagsabi rin na, uy, naka-receive din ako ng the same.
Wala po, Your Honor.
So it was done secretly. Would you say so?
Discreet nga lang po siguro, kasi wala akong alam, Your Honor.
Okay, sige. So, ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair, I'd like to, again, follow up your question. Gusto ko lang malaman, no? So, you said that your task really is being compartmentalized, that you have never any way of knowing that this, is that what you're trying to make this committee understand, that as a Chief of Staff, there was never any moment or any, like for example, any instance where there was really that information or knowledge? Kasi taken from the explanation of Ms. Catalan, allowance to, it's not something irregular. Parang ganun yung pagkaintindi niya eh. Hindi naman siya dapat sekreto or although discreetly binibigay sa kanya pero ang understanding niya is galing pala sa personal money ni Vice President. So hindi dapat siya sekreto. So are you telling this committee that in the span of your tenure as a Chief of Staff, you have never heard anybody, or at least with your co-workers, saying that there's an allowance from the good heart of the Vice President giving out for these employees?
Mr. Chair, if there was...
Please continue.
If there was an instance, Your Honor, that I would say maybe pumasok sa utak ko na may nabigyan, it was probably nung 2022 December, because it was meant to be parang a Christmas, no?
Yeah, but that's already, sabi ni Ms. Catalan, that's regular bonuses. But we're talking about these,
But throughout the envelopes, I can honestly say walang ibang USEC or Ms. Runa. I can honestly say I just found out today also. So walang ganyang usapan eh. Hindi walang lumapit sa akin na nagtanong man lang kung ako ba may natanggap, or them narrating to me na sila may natanggap sila. To be perfectly honest with you, wala talaga akong narinig eh.
As a Chief of Staff, it's, to me, as a Chief of Staff, because you're appointed as a Chief, so big sabihin, trust and confidence is everything, di ba? Kasi ikaw, before it reaches your principal, everything should be, everything should be a course through as a Chief of Staff through you, no? It's, for me personally, Mr. Chair, I find it very hard to understand. Although I'm not trying to debunk your statement here, Attorney Pua, but to me, we all are government employees, and we know how the administrative processes have been going. So, it's, for me personally, I think it's kind of difficult for you not to be able to understand and at least have a grasp on what is happening inside your office, knowing that you are not only the Chief of Staff, but you're also the spokesperson for the Department of Education, Mr. Chair. And though you may not know, but a lot of your co-workers in the department, co-employees in the department have already come out saying the same thing. But if we use the same argument or the statement of Ms. Catalan na discrete pinamimigay, ilan yung lumabas na? Ibig sabihin, kung apat na ba sila, Mr. Chair, o 5? Apat yung lumabas, the same testimony saying that they have received envelopes. Ibig sabihin, kung discreetly, kung the same manner of releasing, ibig sabihin, there's no way for them to really make up some stories. But they came out with the same narrative and the same stories. Yun lang yung gusto kong ipaintindi, no, Mr. Chair. Do you have what's your thought on that?
Mr. Chair, may I respond? I respect your view, sir. Like I mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair and Honorable Congressman, if I were in your shoes, I would also find it hard to believe, hindi ba? And that's why I had to put it in context, no? I did not know the Vice President till the day I was hired as her spokesperson in July. I wasn't with her prior. So perhaps there are things that's why I said it was compartmentalized. Perhaps there were things that are not shared with everyone, are not shared with me, are shared with me, but are not shared with others either. Perhaps that's the only way I can even fathom it, no? But definitely operationally, which means policy, which means whatever happens in DepEd, I can honestly say that really goes through me. But on why they are naming ASEC Sunshine as the one giving the envelope, I really do not know. And even if you were to ask me now, I wouldn't even dare ask.
What's the task of Attorney Sunshine pala, if I may ask?
As far as I know, she was the head EA even before I joined DepEd, Your Honor. So, in fact, she was the one who interviewed me when I applied for DepEd. And then my last interview was the Vice President, and that was the day that I met the Vice President for the first time, when I was offered the job of spokesperson. And I remained to be a spokesperson from July 2022 to around April 2023. So just to give you a background on all this, because I can definitely understand, Your Honor, the sentiments of the good congressman on parang medyo weird, no? Chief of staff ka, bakit di mo alam ang lahat ng nangyayari? In fact, it's a bit embarrassing for me to also admit na hindi ko alam lahat ng nangyayari. But it's really the way it is. Things are compartmentalized even from day one. So even as spokesperson, when may balita and I need to get to an interview, honestly, I have to message with the Vice President at that time to find out every time on what she wants me to say during the interview. At least just to give you a picture, Your Honor, on how it was.
Okay, thank you. Just I guess a manifestation in closing, Mr. Chair. Narinig naman natin ilan yung lumabas na po dito sa committee na the same yung kanilang sinabi, na naka-receive po sila ng envelopes, no? At hindi ho nila ma-explain kung saan lang gagaling itong mga envelopes na ito. May iba sinasabi gift, may isa sinasabi it's a form of persuasion, but whatever they call it, it's something irregular. It does not happen regularly, no? Pangalawa, yung apat na po, kung tatanungin sa katanungan, sa kasagutan po ni Ms. Catalan, ang sabi po niya, tinatawagan po sila individually, binibigay sa kanila. I think the same story also we've heard from the rest of our invitees who said also the same thing, no? Ibig sabihin po, hindi na pinag-usapan itong apat na ito, hindi na napag-usapan, meaning to say they've done the individual na binibigay sa kanila. So it's impossible for these individuals who came out saying the same thing to make up stories na pare-pareho po ang kanilang sinasabi. Ang point ko lang po dito, Mr. Chair, is if it's done discreetly, secretly, there's something really the act really in the giving out of these sobres must be really in question, Mr. Chair. Yun lang pong aking manifestation, Mr. Chair, at marami pong salamat. Thank you, Attorney Puwa, for giving us a background.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Congressman Acop, you're recognized.
I would just like to follow up the question of the Honorable Adyong. Yusek Puwa, ang sabi po nyo, hindi kayo nakatanggap ng envelope. Did I hear it right?
Mr. Chair, Nakatanggap po ako pero hindi envelope mula kay VP mismo. Occasionally, no? And I can try to cite the occasions if you would want me to.
Yung envelope, kagaya ni Madam Catalan.
I was never called to ASEC Shine's office, for the record, to receive an envelope. I don't know why, to be honest.
Thank you. Asek Monsayak, have you received also an envelope? Just
Good
like
afternoon.
Madam Catalan?
Good afternoon,
Asik
Mr. Chair
Monsayak,
and
you're
Your Honor.
recognized.
May I answer, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, I never received any envelope from ASEC Shine Fajarda or the Vice President. Never, Your Honor. And if you will recall the testimonies of the persons who supposedly admitted that they received envelope, they started receiving February and it ended September 2023. I only joined DepEd in October 2023, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Yusek Escobedo, the same question.
Yusek Escobedo.
Mr. Chair,
You're
Your
recognized.
Honors, hindi po ako nakatanggap but during birthday, binigyan lang po ako ng isang cash lang po for my birthday and Christmas.
Thank you. How about Yusek Memphine?
Yusek Mempin.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Now, Madam Catalan, what makes you special, or what do you have that you would merit a 25,000 envelope, contained in an envelope? Ano pong meron po kayo?
Miss Catalan, you're recognized.
Hindi ko po masagot, Your Honor.
Kasi, yung mga matataas sa inyo, ang testimony nila, hindi po sila nakakatanggap. Pero here you are, the head of the accountant division, nakatanggap po kayo. Ano po ang meron kayo that would merit na bigyan po kayo ng envelope ni Vice President?
Your Honor, yung sinabi lang po sa akin ni Sec. Shine is that a form of gratitude.
What did you do what did you do that would merit yung kuwan na yun? Na maging magpapasalamat sa iyo si Madam Fajarda or the Vice President. Ano po yung ginawa ninyo?
Maybe we're just doing our job in the accounting division, so maybe they were just very...
Naniniwala po ba kayo na sobre at pera ang award ng isang empleyado na efficient sa pagtrabaho po niya?
Maybe, Your Honor.
Huh? When you say maybe, it is being done in the department? Ganun po ba?
No, no, Your Honor, kasi
O kaya nga,
I cannot
anong
say.
meron ka na ganun ang kwan sa iyo?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, hindi ko po masasagot kung ano ba meron.
Kasi ako, ang tingin ko, dahil ikaw ang head ng accounting division, kagaya ng maging head ng budget o mga head ng treasurer, it is your position. Kasi yung liquidation at saka clearing, dumadaan palagi sa inyo sa inyong mga opisina. Di ba? At no matter how you look at it, marami pong kalokohan sa liquidation at saka use of funds. Di po ba?
Yung regular transaction, we ensure na lahat po ng disbursement is duly supported by documentary requirements. But again, the confidential fund is quite different and the first time that we have in the department.
Whether it's confidential or regular funds, may mga kalokohan sa liquidation. Would you agree? Kasi ang daming kaso sa ombudsman na ganyan eh. So it's happening.
Honor, but in DepEd, basta regular transaction po, we ensure na lahat po ng transactions or disbursements are duly supported with supporting documents, and these are subject to post-audit naman po.
Hindi natin, I would ask you questions regarding the regular fund, tsaka sa procurement, but it's not the issue of the day. Ang issue kasi ngayon is the use of confidential funds. I would like to ask you that also. Pero ako, from my experience, nakikita ko na yung mga ganyan na pwesto, yun po yung nare-regaluhan ng sobre. Either by the heads of office or by those who transact business with your office. Kasi the ombudsman cases would show that na nangyayari talaga. Hindi po ba kayo naniniwala ron?
Naniniwala po, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Nabante.
Ms. Catalan, you have been in the DepEd for 30 years, correct?
Your Honor, 36 years.
How many cabinet secretaries have you been in?
I cannot remember, but the first cabinet secretary was Secretary Isumbing.
Were you even given envelopes during those times on different secretaries?
Your
Ms.
Honor, as
Catalan?
I mentioned earlier, there was no giving of envelopes in all these years except in 2023.
So therefore, only when the Vice President was the Secretary of DepEd.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You've got to realize that those 9 envelopes has a total amount of 225,000. Am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Attorney Powa, do you remember receiving an envelope that has about 200,000 in it?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, no. The simple answer is no. The biggest, if I need to share,
Yes, go
probably when one time nakwento ko nga na nag-reimburse ako because of the media party, no, for just to host the media for Christmas, I was given around 20 to 25 at that time, which was, well, to be candid, lower pa than what I made abono, but who are we to diba? So, but never, not definitely not 200, not 100,000, not 50,000.
Oh, Ms. Catalan, he was an undersecretary of DepEd, the spokesperson of the Vice President, yet he has not even received, that amount of money during his time. I would even guess that Yusek Escobedo and Yusek Mempin, who have received gifts, during your birthdays and Christmas, for example. You have not received that much, have you?
No, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
No. Yusek Escobedo?
No, Your Honor.
So, hindi po ba kayo nakakahalata na Ms. Catalan na napakalaki ng natanggap ninyo for, those 9 envelopes? More than all of this USEC here that have a higher position than you have?
No, Your Honor, kasi I do not have any information or I'm not aware that nakakatanggap or sino yung nakakatanggap at hindi.
Yeah, but you are aware of the law. You are aware of Republic Act. Republic Act, 3019, which is actually, dito sa akin Republic Act 3019, Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices. You're aware of that, isn't it? You know that, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, wala naman So, I mean, dapat nakikita na natin ngayon yan kung paano. That's the reason why I'm asking you na I would even guess that those envelopes those envelopes you received were a form of pressure on your part to sign. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair.
Your Honor, I would like to welcome to our hearing Honorable Charisse Ancy Hernandez, representative of the Lone District of Calamba City. Thank you, ma'am, for attending.
Thank you. Yes, Congressman Mika.
Mr. Chair, just a quick follow-up for my interpellation earlier. I just wanted to ask COA once again. You mentioned that there was an AOM that has already been issued for the regular funds for 2023. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the AOM is issued on a quarterly basis when applicable. So apart from the AOM that you mentioned a while ago pertaining to the welfare goods, under supplies and materials, are there other AOMs that have been issued since 2022 pertaining to regular funds of the OVP?
Mr. Tomawis,
Mr. Chair.
you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, apart from the two AOMs I mentioned for the welfare goods expenses and the Pagbabago campaign, we have other AOMs for other deficiencies noted during our audit period.
Mr. Chair, if I may request, Mr. Chair, for the committee to request a copy of those AOMs. I believe since we are talking about regular funds here, we no longer need to ask for a subpoena or issue a subpoena duce tecum as this pertains to regular funds, Mr. Chair.
May I be recognized, Mr. Chair?
Ano pa?
I-clarify ko lang po kung anong period or anong audit period po for CY 2023, 2022.
Mr. Chair, if I may ask, fiscal year 2022, fiscal year 2023. From the from the third and fourth quarter of 2023, 22, and the however many quarters you've already audited for fiscal year 2023. Kasi hanggang, what was the last quarter po that you audited?
Year po, Mr. Chair. The last
So
last
full
year
year.
po is 2023.
Kasi po the AOMs that we saw on the confidential funds were on a quarterly basis eh. So pag regular fund po, one per year lang siya.
Continuous lang po siya, and every time na may makita kaming deficiencies, we communicate the results of our audit during the year po.
If that's the case, Mr. Chair, may I please request for all AOMs issued by the Commission on Audit with regard to regular funds of the Office of the Vice President from fiscal year 2022, 2020, and 2023, Mr. Chair.
COA, please take note of the manifestation of Congresswoman Mika Swansing.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Noted.
Meron pa po bang concern?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please
follow-up
continue.
lang po. Mr. Chair, kanina lang po, I was thinking about the response of COA to one of the questions pertaining to the welfare goods. Kasi po, you mentioned in the AOM that was issued for the welfare goods, the main deficiency that was found there was a lack of a distribution list. May you please confirm that, Mr. Chair, on the part of COA?
I-broaden ko lang po na ang deficiencies is pertaining to the gaps on the existing guidelines on the distribution of welfare goods po, not on the distribution list per se.
Mr. Chair, may we please ask COA to enlighten us, what does it mean to be non-compliant with the guidelines with regards to distributions? Because it's, for me, it's a little bit alarming. Say, if there are two different things, if you talk about non-compliance with distribution guidelines, you can either be talking about non-compliance with internal controls, which you mentioned are receipts, distribution lists, etc. But on the other hand, there could also be deficiencies around supplying names of actual beneficiaries, in which case it is no longer an internal control issue, but rather a utilization issue, an accountability issue. So I just wanted, Mr. Chair, for COA to enlighten us kung ano po yung deficiencies nila when they say it's non-compliance with distribution policies, Mr. Chair.
If I may allow po to read na lang po yung nasa report po namin.
Please do so.
So, in the review of welfare goods expenses amounting to 176 million for CY 2023, it revealed that due to gaps in the guidelines and procedures provided in the Office Order Number 2023-21 dated October 13, 2023, the guidelines on the receipt and distribution of welfare and control measures, various deficiencies in the distribution of welfare goods were noted. Then ito po yung mga deficiencies. First is the following documents needed to support the distribution of welfare goods were not required by the agency to be submitted. Then next, they are delayed preparation of
Mr.
financial...
Chair, mahaba pa ba yan? You can just submit that to us.
Medyo mahaba po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I already caught what I wanted to hear actually, and which I actually hope not to hear, which was hindi nag-request yung agency ng documentation with regard to distribution. Tama po ba? Kasi ang ibig sabihin po nun, walang patunay na-distribute po yung mga welfare goods. Yun po yung pagkakaintindi ko doon po sa sinabi nyo.
Bali po doon sa, Mr. Chair, yung pong guidelines po sa existing guidelines po nila, hindi po nakalagay doon na kailangan isubmit itong mga documents na to. So where in fact, kaya po namin nare-recommend na kailangan po i-include o i-improve po yung guidelines na i-include ito sa isasubmit sa amin to suffice po yung distribution of welfare goods.
So, Mr. Chair, ibig sabihin po ba nito, yung 176 million pesos na goods, welfare goods, mga relief goods, wala pong documentation kung sino ang nakatanggap at kung may nakatanggap ba talaga nitong mga distributed goods na ito?
Mr. Chair, hindi po lahat yung 176. That's the amount recorded expenses for welfare goods. But then there is some amounts po doon na may mga kulang or may mga deficiencies in documents. But then the rest mostly have distribution list po. So itong mga na-mention po namin dito sa report, nakalagay po dito is some, hindi po lahat ng 176. Because we also to manifest na hindi po kami 100% audit. So we audit on a sampling basis. So as much as we want to audit all of this, since mayroon kaming lack of manpower, so or due to the time constraint din po, because for the information of everybody, we just assume the office po but last March 2024. So we have from March 2024 up to May para po i-audit yung mga transactions ni ODP.
Pero Mr. Chair, ang pagkakaintindi ko po sa audit you do random audits to check if there are certain areas or categories that need to be, that have deficiencies. And once you catch a deficiency, magda-deep dive ka dun sa area na yun eh. So halimbawa, 176 million pesos yung pinag-uusapan natin sa welfare goods. May nakita na kayong findings na may deficiencies. Nag-random sampling pa lang din kayo. Hindi nyo tinitignan na sa 176 million na to, ilan dito yung may deficiency? Medyo malaking amount po to, Mr. Chair. Kaya I'm pressing COA on this. Kasi paano po kung halimbawa, out of the 176 million, sabihin nyo na sabihin natin less than 50%, that's still 70 million pesos, which is a substantial amount. Kaya po nagpe-press ako na sana po, wag nyo lang sabihin na merong some deficiencies, na some lang yung hindi nyo alam kung may nakatanggap ba. Kasi medyo malaki po itong halagang pinag-uusapan natin, Mr. Chair. Kailangan nating siguraduhin na yung welfare goods na ito ay nakadating sa mga tao. May nakatanggap. Kaya pag sinabi nyo po sa amin na walang patunay na may nakatanggap, medyo nakaka-alarma po sa amin to, Mr. Chair.
may clarify po. Ang
Please
sinasabi po
clarify.
nung audit po namin or audit result, there is a deficiencies on the existing guidelines. So may mga lapses po or weaknesses na kailangan pong i-address. So dun sa 176...
Sandali lang po may deficiency sa guidelines at isa sa mga deficiencies ay hindi nagre-require yung agency ng documentation. In effect, as a result, may mga distribution na walang documentation. Kaya po, ang bottom line dito, Mr. Chair, may mga distribution na walang patunay.
Kung titingnan po natin sa report po, may mga transactions or distributions na wala pong distribution list.
Ilan
But
po
then
yun?
not the 176 million as a whole.
Naiintindihan ko po yun. Paulit-ulit po tayo. Naiintindihan ko na hindi yung buong 176 million yung walang documentation. Pero ilan pong porsyento ng 176 million ang walang patunay? Kasi po sabihin natin, kahit 25% na lang yung pag-usapan natin, malaki pa din yun.
For the documentation or incomplete documentation, we have part of the audit report po yung nandito. First is yung na-mention po nung last time na hearing na pinresent po ni Congressman Luistro, wherein may mga lacking documents po. For example, yung post-activity report, acknowledgement receipt. Wherein,
Meron po ba, sorry po, in the interest of time, magkano po? Pag isusuma total mo
So,
lahat ng mga may deficiencies.
So nasa
62,208.
Mayroon pong 62 million, may 218,000, 460, 434,000, and 557. But then as to the post-activity report, the head of the agency or the management of the OBP has submitted their comment that these documents were attached on the liquidation of the cash advances ng mga satellite offices. Hindi lang po na-i-attach doon sa liquidation or doon sa distribution ng welfare goods. So, as of now po, kaya po nilagay namin or sinasabi po namin na nandun pa rin naman po yung as to validation, na-validate din po namin yung doon sa mga nandun sa other attachments. Hindi lang po siya na-attach. So that's why one of the recommendation po doon sa AOM po namin is to revisit yung existing guidelines and then mas paigtingin yung mga controls para po yung mga kulang-kulang na documents. Hindi kasi sinasabing kulang talaga o walang documents. May mga documents naman po for the distribution list. There's just a weaknesses on the controls or lapses on the submitted documents po sa amin.
Mr. Chair, ganito po, I recognize COA's effort to address the gaps in the guidelines. Pero we also have to be cognizant of the 62 million pesos that is already in question na merong deficiencies. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask COA, by the next hearing po, to please give us a definitive answer. How much of the 62 million has been cleared up doon po sa mga attachments? Kasi baka naman majority pa rin, hindi pa rin accounted for.
Then for information din po, Mr. Chair, yung sa 62 million, ang lacking documents po is post-activity report, which is a secondary documents lang po. But then yung mga distribution list po niya, mayroon po yun, ma'am. Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, siguro po kailangan natin po ng kopya ng liquidation report. Lalo na po dito sa welfare goods na ito. Actually, supplies and expenses supplies and materials expenses. Kasi yun po yung, I believe, roughly 40% of the whole OVP budget, if I'm not mistaken. Kasi po 400 million for 2025 po yung proposal nila. So yun lang, Mr. Chair, we just want to make sure that there's a difference kasi between internal control deficiencies and utilization issues, liquidation issues. Kaya yun lang po, Mr. Chair. If I may request for those two documents, all the AOMs issued by COA for the regular funds of the Office of the Vice President, for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. At saka po, ito pong mga liquidation, ito pong mga items in question with regards to the welfare goods, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much,
Mr.
COA.
Chair,
Thank you. Yes, Congressman
if
Abante.
you remember, COA, we have asked that question before, no? Yung liquidation report na yan, di ba? So, ang request na lang namin siguro, paki-fast track dahil mamaya makatanggap na naman kayo ng envelope.
May I be recognized, Your Honor?
Yes, Ma'am Hemora, you are recognized.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, we need clarification. Do we have to wait for the subpoena or request from the committee to submit those documents that were just requested by the Honorable Congresswoman Swansing?
Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized,
Yes, Congresswoman Swansea.
Mr. Chair, since we're talking about regular funds here, I believe this request doesn't necessitate the issuance of a subpoena anymore. Kasi from what I understand, a subpoena due sa STECOM is required if we're asking for pertinent documents relating to confidential funds. But since we're talking about regular funds here, like ComSec and I had this conversation a while ago, we no longer need the subpoena, right?
I confirm, Your Honor. I confirm, Your Honor.
Okay. But we can request for a request, or is this forum is and for further approval of the chair, we'll just represent to our chair that there's a request from the committee, or we will wait for the formal request from this committee.
Formal request, Mr. Chair. Kailangan nyo ba yun?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
This is already put on record. This is already put on record. So there should not be any more formal requests. You should have to submit that to us.
Okay, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, we will just verbally communicate with our chair for the approval of the Honorable Chair of the Commission on Audit.
We will just draft a letter request for purposes of compliance. Will that suffice?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you po. Kung wala na po tayong mga concern, or meron pa po bang ibang matters?
Mr. Chair.
To discuss? Yes, Congressman Abante.
Motion to suspend.
Second.
There's a motion to suspend. It's duly seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the committee hearing of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability is hereby suspended.